Welcome back to Waste Some Time with Jason Green. I am Jason Green. Have a full show today. We have a lot to get to. We have a company coming by, so we want to make sure we're on our best presentation today. But anyway, we're going to talk about all the same bullshit that you've come to know and love, plus more. We're going to take your questions. My guest, Stevie Rachelle from Metal Sludge and from the band Tuff is going to be here. He's an expert on everything that's going on in the world of hard rock, and he has a busy schedule of things, and he's going to hang, and we'll see how that goes. Johnny Monaco might be stopping by at any moment. Who knows? Yeah, he's very busy schedule, returning desks and other things like that. But so anyway, busy show. I'm glad you're here. We're going to talk about all the things I mentioned and more right after this. Just wanna waste some time with you. Sometimes it seems too good to be true. Nobody I'd rather waste time with than you. All right, we're back. And lots of people pouring into the room. I see lots of questions. If you guys have questions for Stevie, or you have questions for, sorry, I'm just pouring myself a beverage, or if you guys have questions for Johnny Monaco, please hold those until the appropriate moment. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Who's here tonight? Let's see. Well, first one's here, which means we'll be the end of the day. We'll be the first ones to leave. Double J Deluxe. Love the show. Well, thank you. Greg Peterson. What isn't the Sludge? Why isn't the Sludge homepage working? I'm correcting your grammar. Well, we're going to ask him and find out. Does Stevie miss CC Banana? Well, we're going to ask him that too. And lots of questions here. People excited. I'm skipping around. Stevie Guns believes that Tuff is the best band ever. Wind War Attack. Saying, what up? How are you? Thank you. And everyone's here. Leo's here. Indie Cult is here. Michael Perez has been looking forward to the show. I hope we don't disappoint. John Teague is here. I think that's how you pronounce your name, John. And good to see Jason Holstein. I'm glad to be back. Mark Sanchez, always good to see you. I see a lot of the regulars are here. And Dr. Paul is here, and he is reminding you all to get on the super chats. And yeah, that would be great. Thank you. T Pugs is hoping Johnny shows up. Brian likes solo stuff better. I'm thinking he means Stevie's. Hello, Robert. And let's see what else we got here. What's up with the Metal Sludge homepage? Yeah, that is a big question. Brian, thank you very much. And all right, let's see. Wow. There's so much going on. I can barely keep up. Johnny Sorrentino would like to know if Stevie Rachelle can shed some insight on Johnny Monaco's solo album. It's a great question. And Georgia is here as well. Okay, look, I can't, we could do this all day, and we have all night, but I got to get some things out of the way. This Friday, right here on this channel, my interview with Paul Taylor from Winger, Alice Cooper, and Steve Perry. He also performed with Cinderella, performed their last show ever. He will be here, and it's a great interview. Tune in 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to this channel. You can go and click on the video, notify yourself now so you have a reminder. And I will watch that with you guys live. It's a great interview. You're going to learn a lot about him that you didn't know. I will give you a tease. He performs on Mick Mars' solo record. Not many people have details. He does. And so he co-wrote the songs and is on it and blah, 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 blah. So you want to tune in for that. I sounded like Stevie Sex Summers for a minute with all those blah, blah, blahs. New tour diaries, hopefully on the way, because Stephen Pearcy has announced so many new shows. I can't give them all away. I can say that there will be a bunch of shows with Vince Neil, the voice of Motley Crue. So voice of Motley Crue and voice of Rat will be out there. The first show is available. Tickets are available right now. The other ones, I can't say anything about it, but it's coming. So, but anyway, I'm going to be making so many tour diaries that I've got to get these out. And so hopefully I'll get to work on that. Also, other interviews coming up. Jimmy Bell of the band Autograph. He's going to explain to us how there's a band called Autograph with no original members. I think he does a pretty good job. You're going to want to tune in and see that for yourself. And then also, um, who else did I talk with? Dean Roberts of Leatherwolf, another band with some lineup issues, but he'll be here and he'll try his best to explain their drama. I'll tell you that I had to edit his interview. He was a little angry and regretted some of the comments, and I had to clean it up, so to speak. But anyway, that's coming soon. I will tell you that I also spoke to Sean McNabb, who was in Quiet Riot when Paul Shortino, Doctor, remembers him. He was in it. He's in Great White and tons of other bands. He was on the show Sons of Anarchy. Also, I texted with Scotty Hill of Skid Row today. Sounds like we're name dropping, and he will be here soon. Rob Affuso from Skid Row will also be here. They may have different opinions. I know Rob's been saying that forever, so we'll see. He's been doing this for a while, but he tells me he's going to be in Vegas soon and that we are going to get together. Now, some people have seen the Paul Taylor interview. Jason Holstein is one of them. He said it was great in depth. If you are a Patreon of my channel, which does help support the channel and put food on the table for my cat, then you got to watch all those interviews. And you guys will be watching the interviews that I just mentioned before anybody else as well. So just a few things to know. And Jackie would like me to calm down the enthusiasm. She's obviously a comedian. Yes. Jimmy auditioned for Ozzy. Yes, he did. And he talks about it on this very show. So you guys can all be part of that. So anyway, so those are some of the things that are coming up. I should also point out we're going to be doing a toy drive here, Toys for Tots. And me and Johnny are going to go shopping with all the donations, and I'm going to match as many as I can possibly do. And we're going to buy some toys for some kids, take it down to the military base. Hopefully they won't recruit Johnny and I and give us haircuts and make us perform hard labor. But anyway, so just in time for the holidays, that's coming up. Also, the Golden Robot Records contest, the contest that everyone is asking about. There will be a winner, I promise, and we will announce that on this show very soon. As many of you know, I had to take some time off to deal with surgery, and I'm back, and now I have time to listen to 10,000 independent songs. Yes, people want to. I like what you're saying, JF1. Sometimes I don't think the tour diaries need editing. I see a lot of people, they call them YouTubers or vloggers or influencers, and they just go places. I see this one guy, his name is Adam the Woo. I don't mind saying it. He's got 1 million followers, but he's like, today I'm going to go have a McDonald's Happy Meal. And the guy just walks around, and here I am watching it. Today I'm going to go to Disneyland. Join me, shall you? And I watch it. This is just guy walking around talking bullshit. And so maybe I should just give you guys an uncensored look. I was thinking as I filmed them from now on, maybe I just film them in the order that I'm going to use it. I will tell you that I told Johnny to be here at 5. I should point that out. And what time is it? And he's not here. Can't believe it. Anyway. So yes, I will point out, not to brag, but I've done Toys for Tots toy drives every year since 2007, and we've raised a lot of money and a lot of toys for kids, and we're gonna do even more. I'm glad you enjoyed the Red Fox episode. I'm hoping to do a lot more of those in the near future. I've shot for about a year of content that's just sitting here ready to come out, which is a good thing because you can never be short on content. I will tell you that will Steve will show his head without the bandana? I don't know. You'll have to ask him when he gets here. I will tell you that I went to see the band Warrant the other night. First show I went to in quite some time. And I will tell you they were really good. It was a part of this rodeo. I don't believe in the rodeo. I'm completely against rodeo. I think it's a terrible thing. But they played outside the rodeo, so I felt like it wasn't a conflict of interest. Anyway, They Jerry Dixon was back, and it was great to see him. I don't know if you guys are on the social media, but boy, Jerry Dixon has got some crazy stalkers. There's people who have fake accounts. It's the same person. They claim to be his wife. They claim to be his daughter. Oh my God, is it crazy? But Jerry does not have social media, so it's all bullshit. If those of you who are out there wonder, but anyway, it was great to see him. I've known those guys for a long time and have traveled with them with different bands that I was working with, and it was great. It was great. Stephen Sweet was not there. He was taking care of some issues with his, I think he had some sick family members. The drummer they had was great, really great guy. I can't remember his name. Steven said he will be on the show soon, so hopefully we'll get him on here. I'm working on Jerry, but he's a private guy who's not really into doing these type of things. Let's see what we got here. Oh, thank you so much, Indie Cult, Toys for Tots. It's early, but I will put that aside. We're going to do one full show, like a pledge drive, and all of the money that comes in from that show is going to go towards buying the toys. And so that you see that we actually spend the money on what we said, we will go out and film it and show you the process. You can only imagine what shopping for children's toys with Johnny Monaco would be like. Who's late, by the way? Johnny Monaco was 12 minutes late. I mean, what could he be doing? All right, let's see what else we have going on here. Let's see. I'm trying to get all your. And yes, I think Robert Mason does a great job. You know, and he's a good guy as well. Those guys got their stuff together. Ask him, would Jorge ever go back in Tuff? Well, I mean, you can ask him yourself. He'll be here. This is going to be for you guys. Stephen Pearcy and Vince Neil will be like watching the back for more of it. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, this is going to be an interesting year. Those shows begin next year. I think the first one, if you go to officialstephenpearcy.com, the first one is on sale right now, and I think that show is in Palm Springs, Coachella, if you will. It's at a casino, so somebody make the trip. Yeah, I think Johnny and his desk have been taken prisoner, or something along those lines. So Stephanie Dixon is what the stalker goes by. She even met a fake mirrored account of me back when I did social media with Warren. She's a Fruit Loop. Yes, this woman is completely insane. She used pictures that I took, and she used pictures that other people I know took as well. And this is a character. She calls herself Stephanie Dixon, and she lives in Mexico. And it's crazy how many people think that, and how little people, you know, social media does anything. But anyway, she's a loon. Where was Danny? I just saw Danny was here. Danny Garcia. I met Danny in Texas. Danny, there you are. Danny, you're going to appear in one of the future tour diaries. We went to Whataburger, me, Scott Coogan, and Johnny Monaco, who's late. We went and we all had I had this thing called a banana pudding shake, and the other guys were alarmed. And it was an interesting experience. And Danny Garcia was there, and they've got a great organization down there in Texas. I want to say it was Mercedes, if you prefer. And we had a great time, and I hope to be there again. And Danny, I'm glad that you're watching. Wayne, thank you very much. You also got to see the Paul Taylor interview. Guys, hit that Patreon. Go down in the description and watch the interviews before everybody else, because yeah, why not? And you get to watch it without commercials. When is the new Stephen Pearcy album coming out? Well, Stephen Pearcy has a legacy record coming out, which is a compilation of all the things that he's done in his career, and it has a lot of unreleased songs. I believe you'll hear Jakey Lee playing old Rat solos with the band. He has old recordings of that, and that's coming out through Golden Robot Records next year. And he's working on that every day now, and Stephen will be back on the show soon. Stephen and I are going to do a whole catch-up thing before the next tour. Yeah, Whataburger. When you're in Texas, you have to go to Whataburger. They call it Whataburger, but I don't do that. I wonder what's taking Johnny Monaco so long. Well, Stevie Rochelle will be here any minute, so that's really what matters. He's the man of the hour. I wanted to try to give Johnny a little, a little talk, but we have company tonight, and we should, uh, um, put on our best Regis and Kathy Lee for Stevie Rochelle. But and Stevie has a lot of interesting things going on. Oh, hold on, here's Kevin. Kevin, thank you for the super chat. I've been gone again. Heard about your cancer. Just hope everything's okay. I hope everything's okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. We're going to talk with Stevie Rochelle a little bit about my nose issue because Stevie has a nose condition of his own. He suffered a staph infection. I have a filter on my camera, so you can't really see the scarring. You probably see it a little bit. I don't. I don't care anymore. It is what it is. But so anyway, we're going to talk about that. But Kevin, thank you so much for the support. We have 107 people watching right now, and we're the day after election day. A lot of people are angry. They're mad that rich white people are gonna some are gonna they're gonna like and some they're not gonna like, and bunch of bullshit. But yeah, and yes, and so anyway, and please caress the like button for sure. It's it would help. Like, comment, subscribe, and do all the things that YouTubers ask you to do. And yeah, and get your questions ready for Stevie Rochelle. I will point out that Stevie's been on the show twice before. So if you're looking for something that we don't get to, you can check it out. The first interview talks about the history of Tuff, and in our second interview, he talks about the history of the Metal Sludge website, which apparently is down right now. And a lot of people are having trouble sleeping at night. And I understand. I feel for you. So we're going to get to that. But I'll try to put those links in the description. There's over 100 interviews now. And so at any point, you guys could go back and rewatch and pick your favorites and all of that stuff. Okay, let's see what Wind War Attack is recommending that I put some topical healing herbal oils to spread healing. Well, maybe that might be good. Right now, I put this thing on there called Vaseline. So I put this stuff on there. It's and I slap it on. I don't have it on there right now. You're supposed to keep it moist. I know a lot of people don't like that word, but yeah, I got cut from here to here. There's a little bump thing right here. 15 stitches, and yeah, that's my nose story, and I'm sticking to it. Let's see here. Yeah, Kevin, you got a lot to catch up. You've been gone for a while, and so you'll have to catch up with that. Steve Rochelle has got quite a busy schedule going on, and I think after this lockdown and all these things, people are really getting out and making up for lost time. He's going to be all over the world. I know we have an international audience, and Dr. Paul is concerned that people might be giving false medical advice, and I can understand that. Dr. Paul has been watching since the beginning. All right, so anyway, yeah, but Stevie's going to be all over the world, and I know we have an international audience. So let's see here. JF1 wants to talk about bass with us. Jason, you mentioned in the last show that you preferred a 4-string bass. Johnny seemed to agree. Can you elaborate why? I love it when you guys talk technical aspects of your instruments. Well, this might be a boring topic, but I feel that every rock song was written with a 4-string bass. Every real musician played a 4-string bass, especially a Fender P bass. But it's unnecessary. But a lot of bands later started to do different tunings, and then you have bands like Korn, and then you have 7 strings and 8 strings and 50 strings. And I'm a traditionalist. I think if it's not broke, you don't have to fix it. And so that is why I'm a fan. I think the 4-string bass, they've got it. There's no reason to have all this other nonsense. Um, no music, no life is in Tokyo. It says my nose is looking as cool as ice through the camera. So thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Hold on. Does Stevie like internet recognition over band recognition? Well, let's wait till he gets here. But I think he's going to say band recognition. I think everything else. Is Stevie still in Brazil? I believe he is home from Brazil. Let's see. Can you say why Jerry Montano left Steven's band and what he's working on now? Cool that Robbie Crane is back. Tour videos, yes, please. I couldn't say it. It's not. It doesn't have anything to do with me. He was going to be working on some sort of solo record of his own, and I think I don't know. You'll have to take a look at his social media. He's in a bunch of the tour diaries, and it was we had some fun times on the road, and yes. So for now, Robbie Crane is back on board. Indie call. Thank you so much. Mr. Roper or Mr. Furley, Grady or Bubba? A few sidekicks. These are good questions. I grew up with Mr. Furley. I know that most people are traditionalists and they prefer watching Mr. Roper. This isn't the F, Marry, Kill game, is it? But Don Knotts is just such an icon that I'm going with Mr. Furley. And Grady and Bubba is easy. I love them both. Bubba, of course, said I want my daddy's records back, but I'm going with Grady on that one. I had the good fortune of meeting Whitman Mayo, Grady. He's deceased now. I met him in New York, and yes, so there you go. I did my best to answer that question. What do you think? Yeah, I want my daddy's records. You know it. Is Metal Sludge available on any service other than AOL? And we'll get them for the Crane Train. All right. Well, hopefully these guys will be showing up. It's been 22 minutes. I'm going to check right now and see what's going on. So while I do that, I'm going to put up this thing. Hold on. Don't go anywhere, guys. I did this before. I can figure it out again. Hold on. Want a little music first? Oh, turn off the music. Johnny's not here, but the man of the hour is Stevie Rachelle right here. How are you, Stevie?
You know, I'm getting a delay. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Uh-huh. We're having some technical difficulties.
I'm hearing myself from like 10 seconds ago. I can.
Uh-oh. Maybe try without the headphones. You'll get that in 10 seconds.
Like 10 seconds ago.
Now, it sounds like you're watching through the, are you watching the actual YouTube feed? Maybe try without the headphones.
Unbelievable. That's what it was. The YouTube feed was on the other channel. So can you hear me now?
Yes. Now we should be set, right?
Okay. First of all, my bad. I've been sitting here for 20 minutes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, now I can hear you. I've been sitting here for 20 minutes and I've been texting you, F Monaco, I'm ready. What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, but I guess I didn't push the enter the studio button. So I've been sitting here on hold the whole time.
And here I was trying to juggle conversation waiting, but I'm glad you're here now.
And I thought maybe your phone would I thought maybe you were checking some of your devices as well, because sometimes messages come in or questions or whatever. So I guess it's my bad. I've been literally listening to you saying Stevie's going to be here in a minute. I'm like, I'm fucking right here.
Well, I use my phone for my camera. So
Oh, okay.
because that's where I get this great filter to cover my nose, and we'll talk about nose business. But so that's why I don't see the text message. So maybe Johnny is frantically texting me saying, he can't get on the air because he has to exchange a mattress or his desk isn't up to his. He was today. I will tell you that he's exhausted because he was trying to exchange a bed. It's the sixth bed he's trying to exchange, and the stores are now calling each other. They have like a APB when he comes in that do not serve this man, but he's figured out that he can return beds.
So he buys a bed and sleeps on it for a month, and then says my back hurts, so he takes it back.
Yeah, this time it's his shoulder that hurts. But yeah, and then he exchanges it. The latest exchange was going to cost him $1,500 extra though.
What?
Mm-hmm. He is a bed guru, but anyway, so I don't know what happened. Maybe he's busy with the bed. Oh, hold on, he didn't want to be upstaged, so here he is. Johnny, we've been waiting. Oh, look at this. So, Johnny, what happened?
Get me started with this.
You're like Stevie Rachelle. You're playing the tape in the background. What happened?
Get me started with this fucking. I'm gonna kill Mattress Firm.
You're playing the tape.
All right, hold on.
This is supposed to be a professional production. Stevie's got interviews all day.
I've even got notes all lined up and stuff here that I wrote on a bill from the DMV.
All I heard was "fuck Monaco." I've been here for 20 minutes, and then the other one's "fuck." He sleeps on beds and returns them. Listen,
well, that's true.
I don't want to fucking keep going back to Mattress Firm. The next time I go back there, there's going to be a problem for them.
How many times have you gone back to Mattress Firm?
I don't want to talk about it. I don't know. Maybe 7.
You're gonna be like the Douglas guy when he goes into McDonald's and they're like, "We just stopped serving breakfast," and he looks at the clock. It's 11:31, and then he goes and gets what, like AK-47 out of the car or something.
That could be Johnny. Yeah.
I'm thinking of a slower death.
John,
Poison.
just so you know, if I can call you John, Jason said you were going on first. And so at some point, I was logged on before 5 o'clock, and then I heard Jason talking, and I was on the other line. And then I guess Jason's then spitballing. Johnny's going to be here. Stevie's going to be here. And I'm texting Jason, dude, I'm here. Then I went on my Facebook, dude, I'm here. But I guess I didn't push the little button that says enter the studio. So
I've done that. We've all done that.
Jason had no idea I was sitting here like a moron.
Answer was easier than waiting for you too. I'm sitting there rambling, trying to entertain 140 people. You guys are the pros. I'm just some schmuck in. By the way, Stevie, I was thinking, whenever I get ready to do the show, I put on my leather jacket and I put on some liner, sitting in my living room, and I feel like I'm one of those assholes in LA Guns waiting for the flight in the morning. How those guys they wait for the Johnny. You see those types, right? They're in the hotel lobby at 9 a.m. checkout, all dressed up with their policeman's hat and their badge.
I get in trouble for it every week. Yeah, I see them. I see you.
You dress the opposite of those guys, John.
I like to be comfortable on an airplane. I can't wear complicated shoes and bedazzled jeans while I'm sitting down for 4 hours to go to Ohio.
Yeah.
Johnny looks like Hot Topic exploded. And I do too, but it's comfortable. Stevie, you don't get all dressed up when you fly, do you?
Of course not.
I don't think you're looking for people to notice you so that you could tell them the band that you play.
I heard some questions in the background as I was listening, waiting to get invited in, and I didn't see the dumb button. So I'm not very good at this stuff. I'm kind of new at it. As a matter of fact, I even got one of those lights, which I thought made me look better or younger or less gross. That's with it off. That's with it on.
But, you got a ring. You got a ring light. It looks like.
Yeah, a ring light.
I think it looks good.
Yeah, you look like you're about to be get waterboarded.
Slightly like a beheading video. Yeah, slightly.
He should have wore an orange jumpsuit. So, but yeah, there was some things I wanted to cover and I guess talk about, and then I heard some of I didn't hear this clearly because the headphones were over here, but I thought I heard Jason say, maybe we'll get Stevie to take his hat off or something like that.
Somebody asked that somebody asked in the questions if they would see you without a bandana. But we should point out that you have not denied your follicle challenges like some other performers. You have a thing on Metal Sludge where you have your tough diaries. You talk about it. You talk about wanting to have fuller hair when you're younger, and you went to a place to get a little something put in. You went to the place where Tracy Guns got his hair put in, right, added to, whatever they call it. And you've never been shy. You've showed your head before.
Sherry Adams Hair Magic. And if you look in old BAM and Rock City News magazines, I think some of the stars that were advertised, which of course they probably got a deal as Johnny fixes his full
I feel
hair.
self-conscious now.
Michelangelo was one who was advertised, and
Don't get me
Tracy
started
Gunn
with
was another. So yeah, I had some extensions put in because I had Leif Garrett length hair. And then, you know, I'm on the strip looking at everybody in brunette walking by me. And my guitarist, George and Todd, who had like more hair than like everybody in Motley Crue and Van Halen combined. So I was like, well, maybe I should get some extensions.
Well, and Jim Gillette was in Tough before you. He had big hair back then.
Well, he also had hair extensions as well.
Okay.
But at some point, you know, he had, you know, never mind the hair extensions. That was something that a lot of people did in the 80s. But yeah, at some point, the top started going down the shitter. So I did some Bosley medical visits. I did some hair transplants at some point. And
Tom Bosley has a hair reconstruction place?
I don't know if his name is Tom, but it's Bosley Medical.
Hello, Angels.
Yeah. No, not the guy from Charlie's Angels.
No, Tom Bosley is Mr. C.
We're going to get you looking great. Get in here, Angels.
But so, yeah, who cares about hair?
Yes. Well, anyway, but people are, you know, Stevie, you know, by having the Metal Sludge website, people like to rib you, and they like to, you know, they all feel like they know you as well because you are very involved. You're on the Metal Sludge message board. Look, we should get this out of the way first because everyone is asking why they can't get on Metal Sludge.
Well, if anybody goes there right now, it's up.
Okay, so Metal Sludge is back.
It's been up most of the day. And for what it's worth, I mean, I did a post on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and on the message board to say, in my travels to South America, it appears at some point I got a virus.
Ooh.
Not,
is it in the wiener?
Not that virus. I got a virus in my phone or in my laptop. So, you know, 2, 3, 4 days into it, suddenly my system was whacked. Is that live?
Yeah. Now hopefully we're not going to crash this, but right now we are on the Metal Sludge website, which is metalsludge.tv. And
or
it's
.com. Both of them resolved to the same page.
Okay. I went to Google. If you look at the recent news, you see some very graphic images of the other virus that you had, and
right.
we'll get that out of the way too. But there's a bunch of stuff. Stevie, I always thought when Johnny and I just talk a bunch of nonsense on here and then hope people tip. But with I thought it would always be a good feature to have you come on and talk about some of the rock news stories because, like those TMZ guys do, they have people come in who are experts because you are an expert on this thing. You've broke many stories over the years. No one ever wants to give you the credit for them. Someone's always stealing your thunder. But you've been doing this for quite some time. The history of Metal Sludge, by the way, the interview with me and Stevie, you can watch that on the channel, and he'll explain to you how the site came about. Johnny, were you ever on any of those dick charts or any of those things?
You mean the penis chart? Yeah,
Mhm.
I know some people on there. I am not long enough to be on that one. However, Stevie Rachelle was kind enough to give me the FU award years ago when that was a thing. So I've had that.
Well, I will say that I definitely didn't give you that award, but Sean probably did. The guy that was the Janie Von Neal. So
So wait a second. Now we're getting somewhere. We'll get back to nose problems. Johnny, what did you get an FU award for?
Oh, that's a good question. Do you remember, Stevie?
I couldn't even begin to tell you.
I'm
I
sure
mean,
it's somewhere up there.
yeah,
I'll
I mean,
I'll find it.
if you'd Google Johnny Monaco Metal Sludge FU award, there's probably and it's probably like might not even be on this server right now. It might be an old article or something that might have gotten shared elsewhere as well. Because sometimes some of these other like hair metal den or something picks it up, and then I'll be searching something and I'll go like, oh wow, that's an old article, and then it ends up on some other site.
Let's
But
see.
I
Let's
think
see.
it had. I had just joined the band and I was new, and
joined which band? Enough's Enough,
I think so. And I
right?
had. I remember the picture. I was wearing a fur, and I had sunglasses on, and this was way before the new episode of American Horror Story, and I was blasted with this fu. Fu. Oh, I know what it was. I said someone reached out to me about doing an interview, and I said, great, send them in. But
You mean from Metal Sludge? Somebody reached out,
correct. And I
right?
said, just send them out. But I'm only going to answer honestly. So that's what you're going to get from me. And then I don't know what happened after that, but I remember that they were taken back or didn't like it or something. So then they gave me the FU word because of that. But I remember doing the questions. I answered the questions. That's up there too. The 20 questions.
Wait a second. Did you, Stevie? Do you remember any of this?
I mean, do I remember him getting an FU award? Now that he mentions it, like in the back of my mind, but again, pre 2004, August 1st, when I essentially came out and said, okay, game is up. It's my side. Me and my former partner, Sean, we were doing this together for almost 6 years, but he was more the webmaster guy. And he took credit for it at some point after the fact that he was the Janie Von Neal, the Ozzy Stillborn that did write a lot of the really scathing stuff, but he didn't want to publicly be acknowledged at some point and kind of stayed away from it, or was worried that we were going to get exposed at some point. And I turned around and said, I don't care. At some point, it was becoming harder to do what we were doing because we were starting to make real money as well. And I couldn't have a bank account under Bastard Boy Floyd and be cashing $5,000 checks. It just wasn't working. So we had to kind of legitimize ourselves a little bit. And in doing so, me and him started disagreeing on things. So at some point, there was a parting of the ways. But I also accepted the fact that when I decided to do this, that I knew that I was going to accept responsibility across the board, whether it was good, people gave me adulation or cheers or kudos, or people that were mad, like Bobby Blotzer and Sebastian Bach are still to this day. So at this point, you know, I'm I'm the guy, and I'll take the good and the bad. But there's a lot of things that were printed, in the first 4, 5, 6 years of the site that weren't entirely me. As a matter of fact, some of your favorite rock stars contributed, including Tracy Guns and Jizzy Pearl's then wife, Josie Pearl, and Scott Ian, and countless others.
Johnny, you know Josie Pearl?
Yes, I do.
I
Yeah.
love Josie.
She's from Illinois, right?
Yep.
She's from Chicago, correct.
Was she, Johnny? She told you that she was going to leave Illinois. What was the reason?
She wanted to be in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of movie?
She wanted to be the next Betty Davis who wins the triple anal award.
To come upstairs and see me sometime, boy.
But anyway,
again, once enough. I could not keep up.
yeah. But you guys were buddies, and then she left and went to the big city, and she married Jizzy Pearl. It's amazing how they have the same name, right? That's crazy.
That's right. Yep, they got married, and that lasted for a long time when she lived there, and she had a good time. She did what she wanted to do. She's very smart, conniving, smart.
And now she's married to Steve Stevens, and they're big time now, and yeah. All right, but let's look right here. We got the Metal Sludge site. Thank God it's back up. This is a
For the record, there was also a pit stop between Jizzy and Steve with CC DeVille.
Right.
Oh yes.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, but I believe
and some other pit stops, but we'll leave all those up to everybody's imagination.
I think that out of the three of us, at least two of us have experienced Josie Pro Stevens, whatever her alleged name is. But it's great that we're bonding like this.
But either way, there was at some point, Metal Sludge, we were starting to use the very subject matter of our site as the bad guy, the doer. So when we were going to interview Phil Lewis and he was not at good terms with Tracy, we would email Phil and say, hey, what can we ask Tracy? And he'd be like, us, the bloody motherfucker, this, And then when we were going to interview Phil, we'd ask Tracy or Stacy or Scotty or this guy or, so we kind of started pitting guys against each other in a fun way. But of course it got ugly, and then it got, and then we're like shared it. And
Stevie, we're going to get back to the Johnny's Metal Sludge issues in a second. But I want to, I got to say, every now and then you'll get a story on Metal Sludge, or a rocker will do something ridiculous. And I'm wondering, I'm going to tell you the one that stands out to me. I've talked about it on this show before, but there's got to be stuff you look at and you go, really? This person does that? The one that stands out to me is Johnny Monaco's friend, Phil Lewis. He likes to ejaculate into spoons. People photograph it. And I don't understand it. Like, I get people are freaky, maybe bisexual, whatever, dress like a woman, whatever you're into, that's cool. But it's such a niche, ejaculating into spoons. Now that popped up on the Metal Sludge gossip board, and it was on the penis chart. Right. What do you think when you see things like that?
Honestly, what you're talking about, when that happened, I don't know if I was having a kid that week or that month, or I was on tour, or with the Swedish band, or there was a point where I was so busy. In 2004 my daughter was born, and in 2004 I pulled this situation with myself and my old partner where I said, okay, I'm coming out. In 2005 my son was born, and then 2005 I met the Swedish band, and then so I'm like being a dad again. And then I'm managing this band, and I'm also doing Tuff, and I'm also doing the Cheeseheads, and I'm also doing Motley Priest, this tribute band that was like the Steel Panther with a little bit more leather. And so then suddenly one day people are like, oh, Spoon Man. And I was like, is that a Soundgarden song?
Mm-hmm.
And then I come on the gossip board, and there's, 28 pages thread and all these pictures of this cum on a spoon. And someone's like, that's Phil Lewis's load. And I was like, really? Where did that come from? They're like, Phil Lewis, and then of course it becomes a thing. So there's times when, even if I went to Europe on tour with Shameless, another project, sometimes I was there for 3 weeks, and I'm in Germany, then I'm in Belgium, then I'm in Sweden, then I'm in France, then I'm in England, then I'm in Denmark, then I'm in, Austria. So sometimes some incidents can happen and they kind of go under the radar. And I know that's one to kind of, how do you miss that? But I don't remember when it actually came to be. No pun intended. But I guess it's safe to say that Phil was the first Dave Ellefson.
Yeah, ahead of his time. Dave Ellefson was another story that comes out of nowhere. No.
Boy, you guys are just hilarious. I own 2 spoons, and the other day I realized I lost one of them. So,
well, Phil Lewis has been to your house. He left his hair dye all over your doorknob.
I knew I only had one because every time I eat cereal, it tastes like coffee. And I'm thinking, how do you lose one spoon? Two spoons an entire year. I lose one spoon. It's impossible.
Phil Lewis went to his house to tell Johnny what a bad guy I am.
Horrible.
He invited himself over to tell him how terrible I am. What a strange thing to do.
Honestly, I like Phil. I like Phil. We've always gotten along. I think I could be wrong, but I think there's a mutual respect there. I like Tracy too. You know, I like all of LA Guns, all 60 of them. You know, I mean, I don't have any issue with anybody. I've made fun of guys along the way. Some get a little offended.
They're like sister wives.
Yeah, the most recent one was, you know, Ace and me used to be good buddies too, but one day
Ace Frehley?
No, the other Ace, the Ace Von Spears or whatever. The guy that when I did the whole article on Tracy in the toilet, you know,
there's a toilet.
Johnny Martin and Ace started coming to the defense. Johnny kind of slowed it a little bit, but at some point Ace was all upset, and I don't know. I think it was ridiculous because I was like, dude, come on.
Well, come on. I think we share, Stevie, an opinion that sometimes when you're not the original guy in the band, you know, some call them scabs, whatever, but you shouldn't get into the fights between the members. LA Guns is one of those bands. Kelly and Steve have an issue with Phil and Tracy and vice versa. It shouldn't be up to the guy who's just kind of pinch hitting to say that. That doesn't mean there aren't replacement guys who are great. But when these guys go in there and start protecting the legacy of the band and speaking up for it, it seems a little bit silly.
And that's exactly what happened. I shared an article, and then Ace started making comments, and I said, you know, what are you doing? You know, why are you? And then he messaged me, and at some point we went back. He's like, you're talking about my band, and I said, dude, that's where you're wrong. It's not your band. It never was your band. It never will be your band. It's Tracy and Phil's band. And if anyone else has the right to say that, it's Steve and Kelly and Mick, you know? Yeah. But so again, I've never had an issue with Ace, but he got a little smart mouthy with me. So I had to tell him to kick Rock's son.
Yeah.
He could be my son.
Johnny Monaco quit that band, for the record. But let's Stevie, let's look at this real quick. Let's see what Johnny was up to in the world of Metal Sludge. It says here, enough is enough. Singer Johnny Monaco looking for a gig on Los Angeles Craigslist. Johnny, when is the last time you placed an ad on Craigslist looking for musicians?
Daily. That might have been about a bed. I have a long history with mattresses and spoons.
And so that I forgot about that. But again, like that's probably something that somebody then sent to us. They're like, hey, do you know Johnny Monaco is selling a guitar on Craigslist? Or I don't remember exactly what it was, but I guess if that's what you're referring to, there was something you put on Craigslist and then somebody sent it to us. So yeah, so I was like, okay, let's put that.
It's fine.
Well, Johnny currently has an ad on Craigslist for a bed and a desk. And,
well, I sold a desk to a lovely couple who I'm lucky didn't eat me, and they were an elderly couple, but they're always the worst.
Were they hot?
You never know with the elderly people. They come off, oh, they're nice, they're gentle. Next thing you know, they're devouring you in the bathtub. So they
like Maud.
They were a nice couple, but I don't like to do things on Craigslist because you never know what you're getting into.
Right.
All right. So here's some stories about you. This was about Robbie Crane coming back.
Those are all newer ones. Those aren't the good ones.
Giving me a haircut. Well, we're going through everything. Listen, Stevie's giving you a lot of press.
Does that say bareback? What was that one? Just go back a little bit.
What, Barf book?
Oh, I thought it said bareback. I was like, what article is that?
No, everybody knows if I was going to do a live stream from a toilet, I like my toilets like hot and steamy with like just a little hole that you don't know what's behind it. The only way I like my toilets.
Yeah, so you're probably the article that you're looking for is probably not on there. So let's skip the fact that Johnny got an FU award and start answering some fans' questions like, is Stevie more attracted to being famous for being in a band or internet fame? I heard that come out of your mouth earlier. Like, that's fucking hysterical.
Yes. Hold on. Let me get rid of this.
Well, there's a lot on there. Jeez, look at all that.
Look at all that shit. You can, Stevie, you can answer the question. There was a time where I believe Metal Sludge was probably more well known than Tuff, and I always said that I think it was a smart thing. You got more mileage out of Tuff than anyone could have thought of a band from that era because you had a platform. And you were smart, though. You didn't just talk about Tuff. You poked fun at yourself. This is when you were anonymous. And but I think that obviously music is your passion, not dick jokes like mine.
Well, I just went to Brazil for the 7th time. I was just there for 10 days. I played 2 shows in Sao Paulo and Curitiba, probably 250 to 300 at the first one, 150 at the second one.
Good.
Nowhere anywhere did it say Stevie Rachelle from Metal Sludge in concert.
Mhm.
It was Stevie Rachelle, the voice of Tuff. The same thing that was advertised when I played in Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary, Sweden, Denmark, France, Belgium, England, Australia, 29 countries and counting. And I'm adding a 30th, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, which I haven't told anybody this yet. But yeah, I mean, has Metal Sludge given me some exposure? 100%. But Tuff is also something that, you know, I joined this band 35 years ago and I continued to work at it. And whether it's reissuing stuff on vinyl or CDs and DVDs and shirts and selling the brand and building the brand, even as small as it is, I refuse to just take the 2 record deals and go, okay, this is our record from Atlantic and this is one from BMG. And in the meantime, I'll just sit on the sidelines. So,
Well, you were smart enough to license this yourself, so you own this pressing. You went back to the label, and you said, "I'm going to put this out." You went to Atlantic, and you said, "I'm going to put this out," and you got a gatefold here. And are these things still available, or did you sell out of them?
Still available.
Okay, because I mean it's a limited run, and people can go to what's the website you go for that?
You can go to tuffcds.com, tuffcds.com. Or you can go to Metal Sludge.
Yeah,
check the store, Google it, search it anywhere. eBay, Amazon.
We're going to link all that. Now, we're going to make sure we get to other people's questions. So here's the things we got to get through. We got to talk about what you have coming up because you're an international man of mystery for a while now. We got to talk about our nose situations because we both had some nose issues, and Scotty Griffin texted me, and he was very concerned that we had the same thing.
I don't know if you can see that.
I see it on yours.
Couple of dents in my nose, permanent.
Yeah, and mine is kind of hidden behind this filter, but I had a little extra nose to spare. But so we'll talk a little bit about it. I've talked about mine on this show extensively. The year that I was out with Stephen Piercy's band, I had this dot on my nose that would occasionally bleed. And actually, Johnny would offer me makeup because Johnny carries a full makeup kit with him in case there's any side work.
Guilty.
And I would cover it. It was probably poison too. The makeup was probably seeping into the cancer. And
yeah, you probably got the cancer from Johnny's makeup.
It's possible.
That's not true.
Can't be proven. But so anyway, but it was this thing, and I saw a doctor, and they told me it's nothing. And then I had one of these virtual doctors like this, and they told me, "What do you think we're going to get? You're going to go to a dermatologist, and they'll do a biopsy. No one's going to do anything. Don't worry about it." A year later, I knew something was wrong, and I had to get find some insurance to get it. Found a primary who looked at it and said, "You better go to a dermatologist." Got to the dermatologist, who knew right away. They obviously they see this all day. They said, "We got to do a biopsy." Got the biopsy. A couple of weeks later, I had the cancer diagnosis. I made it on the show. Some people thought I was very dramatic to monetize a cancer, but most people, I was fortunate to have something that was extremely treatable. If you're going to get cancer, this is the one you want to get. But it's scary when you hear that word, and it's scary when you don't know how disfigured you'll be. You know that they're going to cut a part of your nose off. You don't know how much. When you make your living sitting in front of people, you wonder. I was lucky that Piercy had some time coming off, and I was able to do this. I spent 3 weeks in bandages, and now There's a cut, but it's not so, it's not so bad. Whatever. Having a scar for me is better than having cancer. So I'm not so concerned.
That's
When
kind of what I
when
thought.
when I was going through this, you and I were texting, and you sent me a picture of your nose. The picture you sent me was of a small hole in your nose.
Almost like a pimple or something, like two little red dots, you know?
Which I was shocked because I thought, well, maybe you had the same thing because
Right?
you hadn't spoke about this
Right.
anywhere, and so you
Right.
had this small, like you said, like a pimple, and I'm going to show that.
First.
Let's see.
Right.
See if I can find that though. I just want to find that one. Some of these images, by the way, are very alarming.
Don't put up the dick pics I sent you.
You know that would be private, of course. But let's look at what on your site you called day one. And we're gonna
Johnny's
look,
mad I didn't send him any dick pics yet, but
well,
I have them all on my computer, just waiting for the revenge.
Johnny has a file, Stevie. He keeps files on people. He has so many pictures of Tipsy Nuts ass crack and stuff.
so he has like a Mitch LaFon file.
He just waited. He's just waited. I always say that one day Johnny's going to go on somebody else's podcast and talk about what a scumbag I am, like he does on mine. But anyway, here we go. Let's take a look at your nose. And for those watching who have questions, we're going to get to your questions as well. So this was the beginning. People at home can see this. It's a small dot. I mean, it's a hole. I mean, it would be concerning.
Right.
Was there any part of you that thought maybe I don't need to go to a doctor?
No, what happened is I've been going to the gym a lot, but I started implementing. I would sit in the hot tub after the gym, but I started doing the sauna room. You go in the room and it's like, the size of a closet, and there's 4 old dudes in there. You sweat like a pig, and then when you get out 15 minutes later, it's like you feel refreshed. You jump in the pool. And so I started doing that in the summer. And then one day I woke up, I had these 2 little dots, and I was asking my kid's mom, I said, what do you think this is? I sent her some pictures, and she's like, oh, it's nothing. And I said, then the next day they got a little bit more sore, and it was really bothering me. I said, do you think I have monkeypox? Because at that point, monkeypox was all over the news. Right. I mean, every time you turned on the news, it was like, lady at the grocery store left the grocery store and she's got monkeypox, So it was annoying, but within 48 hours, it was scary looking. And I went to an urgent care. I think you're going to pull up that next photo now if you scroll. And upon walking in, the doctor immediately said, he goes, oh, wow, you have a very serious staph infection. We have to start treating this right away.
Let's warn people before we show these pictures. It is graphic and not for the faint of heart. And Johnny, someone in the chat makes the point that Johnny is squeamish. Johnny is one of the most squeamish people I know. I didn't even show him these photos when you sent them to me because I knew he could not handle it.
Okay, get the barf bucket ready for Monaco.
I'll tell you who has a staph infection, Mattress Firm. Idiots over there.
All right, here we go. Let's take a look. We're going to see 3 in a row here. Okay, this is rough. So tell us what we're looking at.
You're looking at a male model who had his modeling career cut in half. So I can't do it for the next 50 years. But yeah, I mean, I took a few of these and obviously went to the doctor, and then, he said very quickly, you could end up in the hospital. You could lose your nose.
Oh, God.
People have died from this.
Jesus.
Which immediately I'm just like, I'm going to die from that, which of course, it didn't hurt as much as it looked, but if you touched it, it was super, super, super sore. And so then since this article is ran, I can't tell you how many people have messaged me and said, my dad got that and he had his leg amputated 15 days later. My uncle got it and he died. Like he was in the hospital for a month, and then he died. He was 48 years old.
Johnny and I heard about someone in Vegas who had it and also passed away. And yeah, these things are dangerous. When you were telling me about it, I guessed that you were going to the gym. When you were telling me that, I said you must be going to the gym and getting those hot tubs. And I mean, hey, at least you're jacked. You know, you got that.
I think the left one's actually bigger, believe it or not. And I'm not
it's way to the beach.
If I knew this was a pose down, I would have put my unitard on.
I pulled something.
Tricep.
God. Oh, I can't move.
I am wearing. Yeah, Johnny can't. Johnny would pose, but the bed is thrown off his shoulder. So, so you had this staph infection. By the time you told me about it, you had already gone through the treatment. And so, tell me what you did.
Well, first thing you do is give me essentially like a horse tranquilizer of steroids and whatever into my butt, and then he gave me multiple medications. And then he gave me some topical stuff as well. And then this was on it. The thing appeared on a Sunday. Monday, I was worried. By Tuesday morning, I was in the urgent care. And then, so at 10 or 11 o'clock on Tuesday morning, he said, I need you to come back tomorrow to see if it's any better. And I said, you think this is going to get better in a day? And he goes, no. I'm worried it's going to get worse. So he wanted to know what I look like today. And he said, what is this going to look like if it's that bad tomorrow? I had a feeling he was sending me straight to the ER, to the hospital. So when I came back the very next day, he goes, okay, the good news is it doesn't look worse, but I'm going to double up on the horse tranquilizer or whatever. Right into my ass. And then he's like, also, I'm going to add this. So he gave me like another prescription. So I was taking basically 3 prescriptions, a topical, and he had injected me twice. And again, people that I talked to about this had said that it became so serious that some people that messaged me went through it. They were in the hospital on intravenous antibiotics for like a week or 2. You know, that's how serious it was.
It's incredible. Looking at it, it's incredible to think that you weren't, or that they didn't have to do some kind of a surgery,
like a head transplant.
Yeah, and the thing is, it happened so fast. I mean, if you look at the first picture in that article, that was on Sunday.
Right.
Those pictures where I looked like my face had been dragged behind a car, that was only Tuesday morning. That's in 48 hours.
Bad.
That's crazy.
It literally went from that to the black. And the thing is, the dermatologist who I went to see, she told me this black thing, they call that atrophying, which I didn't know what that meant. But she said that means it's dying, it's dead. She goes, the tissue on your nose there is all dead. And then she gave me the analogy of, it's like when people go to Mount Everest and they climb the mountain, and a lot of times you'll see them, people coming back and their face has got the tip of their nose is all black, or their ears, or guys lose fingertips and toes. And they said that the reason that happened to my nose as well is, she said, because that's one of the few places on your body that has the least amount of blood flow, along with your fingertips, your ears, and your toes. So if you go on Mount Everest for a month and it's below 0, even though your body is able to remain some kind of contained temperature with gloves on or a face covering, your nose and your fingers and your toes are the first things that would get frozen and die and fall off. That's why some of those people have no fingers left. That I climbed Mount Everest, but I don't have any fingers left. So it was not good.
Yeah. What's incredible is how fast, though, you got rid of it. Because and yeah, you have some scarring, but again, you could be dead, or have that that black nose. So what was interesting is when you were talking to me about this, you were about to do press because you had shows coming up in Brazil. I said, how are you going to go on camera like this, because you hadn't told anybody what you've been through, and you hired somebody, right, to kind of do some makeup.
Well, not hired, but a friend of mine that does makeup professionally said, "Here, use this and use this," and they did a little test for me,
It
and then I
wasn't Johnny, right?
no.
Okay.
But then, and I didn't put any on today because I wanted to be able to, I guess, so people could see.
I'm just glad it cleared up and you're okay, because that's terrible. And I know someone that actually did die keeps eating away until you're dead, and it's a terrible thing. And I'm just glad you're okay and it worked out. And you can't really see anymore. I know
Right.
there may be something a little bit, but it's great that you're okay. And stay out of those freaking hot tubs.
Right. Well, and
No
I
hot
thank you for that. For both of you, you guys, you two, and other people have sent me a lot of messages. I've had a lot of messages from social media and emails and people that have said things about people they knew that had something similar, and it was pretty scary, because I mean, I'm admit it, I'll admit I'm kind of vain. I like my looks. I want to hold on to what I got,
I
and
thought you were tough. Vane is a whole nother band.
right,
Sorry.
exactly.
No,
So
nobody wants that. I mean, it's right in the front. You walk up right away and you're like, hello.
yeah, yeah,
Seriously.
well, and that's what I said. I'm like, I couldn't have got it like on my elbow or fucking,
Mhm.
like on the shoulder back here. No, it's like right in my fucking,
Yeah.
right in the front of my
It's
face.
okay though. You made it through, and that's the best thing. That's great.
That's how I felt about my cancer. A lot of people would tell me I had that same cancer on the back of my calf. I'm thinking, yeah, that sounds okay.
Right.
No one can see the back of your calf. But
I
when they
felt this.
tell you, say it again.
I felt the same way about the Mexican food I had the other day. I made it.
you did survive.
Oh my Lord, that was a terrible dukkha.
Yeah, it's Stevie and I are surviving life and death, and you have Montezuma's revenge.
Listen, I thought it was life or death when I was sitting on that toilet. You remember Texas tea, black gold? That's what came out.
Yeah, that's what you get for eating at those places. But speaking of that, though, so we're talking about the things we went through. One of the things that from sharing it, because at first I didn't know if I was going to tell anybody. I was kind of lay low. When I became a diabetic, I thought, let Bret Michaels be the one to be the voice of everything and tell everybody.
Right.
But what I realized is by talking about it, you do help other people to go and get things done. Since I've talked about this little dot that became a cancer surgery, a lot of people have told me that they're going to a dermatologist. I get tons of people, and I'm hoping that they're all going to come back with benign results and they got rid of a little mark. But thankfully, people are looking. So I don't feel so bad talking about it. I also knew that I wanted to get back on here. This pays the bills. And the only way, how are you going to sit here with a big hole in your nose or a bandage? So I'm glad that I spoke about it. And I think it's good that you speak about it too. If somebody sees something that looks wrong, trust your body and get into a doctor.
Right.
Because how fast yours changed was crazy.
Yeah, had I waited another day or two and it got like more on, like they said it's not even out of the realms of possibility that you could have lost your whole nose. Like, I mean, because as you see in those photos, the whole thing was pretty, and I did lose the tip of it, and there's some chunks out of it. I mean, I had look at some old photos. I had a pretty nice nose, but not anymore.
They might be able to do a skin graft where they take some skin and put it on there, maybe. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, from my butt cheek, and then I just put it on my face.
Put it on.
He was thinking. Well, Stevie, you were discussing something like that. I didn't need it, and they said, this scar is going to take a while to heal. I don't really care. I'm fine with it, and I think yours. I've seen it up close. I think that yours. We're talking about your nose. I think that it's fine. I think you'll yeah. I mean, look at those abs. Oh, this suddenly became a very blue show. Josie Pearl will be here any minute. Let's look at some of the comments from the audience.
Unbelievable.
Now,
I'm
in trouble for this.
People are making fun of us.
No, I don't know, because I've been so caught up in this.
No, they're not making fun of you. They're making fun of me.
Probably. But then there's also people who like to tip, and they like to ask Johnny really obscure questions about his music career. Like songs that no one's ever heard except for Johnny and the person. But no, and they're great. I'm familiar with a lot of Johnny's work, but whenever Johnny's here, he gets a lot of questions, and so we'll we'll see some of those mixed in. But Stevie is our guest today, and so we want to make sure that we talk about that. But let's see some of these questions. There's a lot of people watching. I gotta say, I hate these podcasts or whatever they call them, where you have three jackasses sitting around.
How many people are watching? How many is a lot?
175 right now.
And now, how does that stack up against the rest of your superstars that you've had as guests?
Well, most of the guests don't come on in the live format. So but these are good numbers. That's a lot of people watching.
So we're splitting the money in the Patreon 3 ways, right?
Listen, of course, we're all going to go to dinner and then sit around in the hot tub and see whose nose falls. But anyway, listen, I want to, and we're going to get to it. But let's see. Okay, Brian would like to see you bring Motley Priest back. Motley Priest was your cover band. He'd like to see it back. He enjoyed it. Let's take a look. Jackie says you sound like Eddie Trunk without the modesty.
Okay.
Not sure what that.
Me or Johnny sounds like Eddie Trunk.
Johnny likes when I tell him stories about me and Eddie Trunk going out to dinner.
I don't understand the big deal about Chick-fil-A.
Who picks up the bill? Me, Eddie Trunk, and Brent Woods went to an In-N-Out Burger. This was an interesting night too because we were at the Skid Row concert, and Eddie Trunk and Brent Woods came from the Sebastian Bach concert in the same night, and then we ended up at the In-N-Out. But Eddie Trunk was very torn. He doesn't understand Chick-fil-A. He doesn't think it's that big a deal. He thinks it's overrated. He's not a big fan of In-N-Out either. But Chick-fil-A he did not get at all. Anyway, Johnny enjoys when I share a good Eddie Trunk. So I like Eddie Trunk personally. I do know that he can be long-winded. What I like about him is that he is exactly what you see is what you get. There's no act. There's no radio personality. He's the guy from Jersey, and he's passionate about his fans. As they say, though, if you're his friend, he probably won't say anything bad about you. For example, if Chips Enough was lip syncing, Eddie Trunk would not say anything bad because he likes him.
Let me just plug as we go along.
Yes, please.
Bang Your Head is Carlos Cavazzo's wife, Vicky Cavazzo. That's her brand. So she gave me a shirt, which I'm wearing it tonight. Bang Your Head. I'm also wearing a Night Stinger hat. They're a band out of Brazil. Great guys. And since you mentioned Chips Enough, I will mention that Smoke and Rock and Roll is Todd Chase and Billy Morris's food truck in Ohio. On December 1st, we're going to do a special edition open rehearsal with Tuff and Smoke and Rock and Roll. And one of the dishes, because all their food is music themed, like they have the Judas beef sandwich. They have the Tommy Lee. It's a foot-long hot dog. And they also have the Chips Enough nachos.
Okay.
But how does nacho fit into it?
And
Did they have a marijuana garnishing or something?
They all said the Fleetwood mac and cheese,
That sounds
so let's go with some questions. Let me answer some questions if there is any that are diehard Tough.
Yeah,
Stevie,
let's
Rachelle,
see. And we'll bring oh, Johnny's back. Okay. I thought he had a little bit of a breakdown. All right. Let's see here. You see, a lot of people talk as it's going, and it's really hard to figure out what they're talking about.
Scroll back what they were saying.
Yeah.
Right?
Some of the stuff, though, we moved past. So it's this is a good question from AZ. Did anyone try to start shit with Stevie in person after reading a post?
Never. Not even close.
It helps if you're a big guy.
Mm-hmm.
If that was me and Johnny, we would hide. I would.
Well, here's the thing. 99.9% of all those guys are hot air. Sebastian Bach is a perfect example. How many times have we read on Twitter that he wrote, "Wait till I see you in person. Then we'll see how fucking smart you are." He threatened to beat up William Shatner. How old is William Shatner? 88? Right? It's just like, Sebastian Bach has never touched anybody except for the teenage girl that he threw the bottle into her face from the stage. Like, other than that, he's never hurt anybody or tried to. He's a lot of hot air. So
Yeah, he's gone on Blabbermouth and challenged people to fight. But listen, instead of dwelling on these horrible incidences, he also made peace with Michael Sweet. Did you see this?
yeah, I saw that. Amazing. And Michael Sweet said he was praying for it every day.
What an amazing! Michael Sweet is going to be on this show soon, so I have to be careful what I say. I've been in church every weekend preparing for it. I like, and oddly enough, Michael Sweet likes Johnny a lot. They talk about guitars and things because we do a lot of shows with them, and they are nice guys.
Very nice.
They are nice guys. But anyway, Michael's going to be on here, and I'm going to ask him about it. They also just had a concert where there was no power. Did you see this one?
I saw something about that because of the, being in Brazil and then coming home and trying to catch up on bills and running around. I did see something about they pulled out battery operated amps because the power went out and they played like that or something.
They sold out 2 nights at the Whiskey. The second night, the power went out. They had like flashlights, and Robert played a snare, and the other guys played little battery operated amps. They had a people for the guitar solos so you can hear it. They said it was a miracle. I think it would have been a miracle. I think it would have been more of a miracle if the lights went back on. But okay, maybe that's not what they were praying for. Maybe they were praying to have an intimate show. But anyway, I like those guys. But yeah, it's strange. People talking about being hotheads. Yes, most people are like Bobby Blotzer. They get drunk at 4 a.m. and talk shit. But when they see you, it would be another thing. Kevin was nice enough to tip $5 and ask any thoughts on John 5 and Motley Crue. I can tell you that the three of us.
God.
I can tell you that the three of us were talking about this, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, a lot earlier.
Yeah, before the rest of the world.
A lot earlier. I had a friend call me and tell me that he heard this story. I believed it was true. I knew the source was not an industry person, but somebody who knew people involved. Right. And when you think about the story, you go, yeah, that sounds right. I mean, it didn't seem like Mick Mars was going to travel overseas. So I was just kind of sad on it. I didn't think that this show was really a show to break news stories. It's more about, dick jokes and whatever else I can do for tips. But so I told Steven and I told Johnny in the airport, and you start with no, and then even Steven goes, it sounds like it could be correct.
Steven,
and then,
as in Piercy.
Yes, I'm sorry, Stephen Piercy. Yeah.
Right.
And Johnny would show him his John 5 imitation of John 5 playing Home Sweet Home, and Stephen loved it. He for the whole flight to the next city, he was so entertained by because John 5 does have a thing that he does on stage, an odd thing. He probably won't do it in Motley Crue, and so we were all entertained by it. And then I said, "Let me drop you a message," and what the hell? And at that point, you told me no one had told you yet. But after that,
but it was within that first day or so, I heard it from 2 different people, and then I reached out to a third person who I thought might have some insight, and that person talked to somebody, and within minutes said, "It's a go." So then there was 3 different sources that were telling me stuff, and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna throw this against the wall," because it's what I've done with a lot of things. And most of the time it's going to stick, because after doing this for a while, you have to be able to, it's not like somebody just calls me and goes, "Hey, I heard that DJ Ashford's going to be in Guns N' Roses." And I go, "Okay, let me put it up," which basically happened 12 or 13 years ago. We were the ones that broke that story. But I decided to put it up. And this is something I haven't told anybody either. Within about a day or so of me putting up the John 5 story, John 5 actually messaged me. Now, me and John know each other. We've kind of met in passing maybe 1 or 2 times in the last 30 years, but we never talked, we never hung out. But he just messaged me and said, "Hey, Stevie, just wanted to let you know I used to come see your band all the time on the Strip. you know, my best to you, buddy, this and that. And I sent him another message back. We never mentioned Motley Crue, never mentioned a rumor or is this true? I think that was his way of kind of giving me the old winking at me.
Mhm.
So
Mm.
then it wasn't until several weeks later that it was actually confirmed. But John reaching out to me and just checking in for the first time ever through social media, and then him and I exchanging a couple of Sunset Strip moments. It was kind of like, okay, that's a little odd that he would do that. And if it was not true, if it was just a rumor, he would have probably said, "Hey, just so you know, dude, by the way, I don't know where you heard that, but again, he didn't say it. I didn't I didn't want to pressure him or make him feel cornered. But yeah, he sent me a couple messages and
The timing obviously fit, and then he
right,
leaves
right,
Rob Zombie and all these things. It was
right,
obviously
right,
true. The story wasn't really rocket science. Science. What a funny thing was, though, you know, this is really your thing. You know, breaking stories and getting clicks is what you do. So what happened is we both started to get some attention from sites that wouldn't normally quote us. You
right.
know, I remember like things like Guitar World. That's not a site, you know, that really runs kind of
Or variety.
yeah, or yeah, right, variety. Yeah, it's a big one. They're not the kind of thing that would normally run that. And when I
Right,
would, you know, and I Google myself. I don't know if you do, but I do because I like to see who's running stories and see what's going to help certain videos and see what's
right.
trending.
Mhm.
And when I start seeing my name in these articles, I go, huh. But what was funny is the articles that were then saying we were lying
Right.
or have no idea what we're talking about. And wait
Or
till
you
you hear.
said the one fan had asked John, and then supposedly John replied and said, "It's just a rumor, not
Right.
true." But there was never a screen capture of that quote unquote reply from John, and then it was just like some random fan. So I guess the Metal Sludge platform or the Jason Green platform aren't as reliable as the one fan who said, "No, he said it's a rumor."
Right.
So
And
who
so
knows?
some
Funny.
people were angry. Then there's people who were angry that Mick Mars is going to be leaving. Um, and you know, we didn't do that. We're just reporting a story that we
Right,
both were extremely confident it was accurate. There was no
right,
point where we were guessing. And again, your site has run these. The Tony Katan story stands out. You were the first person to report of her passing many
right.
hours before TMZ or anyone else got it. Uh, and people thought you were making it up. This was not the kind of story you were going to run unless you were fairly sure that she had passed.
Right.
Okay.
Brian Howe from Bad Company was another death that we reported first, way in advance as well. And yeah, it's funny because, like you said, people are then they're getting mad at me, you know, and I'm getting accused of making that. I'm like, do you really think I would make up that somebody died just to see if I can get some clicks on my website? Like,
Mhm.
are you crazy? Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't make that up.
Here's a question. Wasn't Stevie a judge for a mud wrestling contest featuring hot ladies?
A judge? No, never. However, we were in a pay-per-view in 1988 or 89 called Heavy Metal Thunder and Mud. And it was
Mhm.
also directed by Penelope Spheris, who directed Decline of Western Civilization Part 2, The Metal Years. And Heavy Metal Thunder and Mud was a pay-per-view special. And what it was mud wrestlers. And then there was an MC, a couple of MCs, one of who was Jessica Hahn, one of
Mhm.
who was Tawn Mastery, the leather nun from KNAC, rest in peace to her, Bill Gazzari, rest in peace. And then each mud wrestler was represented by a band. Tuff was one band, Nuclear Assault, the thrash band, was one band.
Mhm.
Another Sunset Strip metal band called Grave Danger was a band. She-Rock was a band, which was fronted by Emmy Canyon, one of the Nasty Habits that was the backup singer for Motley Crue's Girls, Girls, Girls tour.
That's a name I'm not even allowed to say on the show anymore.
Emmy Canyon.
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
I can't even discuss it publicly.
And then the fifth band was Young Guns, who later became Wild Side. There might have been a sixth band too, but each wrestler was represented by a band. So then the two mud wrestlers would fight. One would lose, one would win. And I want to say our wrestler fought the girl who represented Nuclear Assault. So then they had her in the dressing room when our girl lost, and we had to massage her on a table and felt sorry for her.
Had to, of course.
Yeah, had a couple of goofy speaking lines. It was kind of like it was this really goofy thing. Like we like broke in the girls' dressing room and we tried to like kick their clothes, and then they were like making out with us, and it was very Z movie level. But so
Chris-
we weren't judges, but the judges for the contest that voted on the bands and the mud wrestlers was Randy Castillo, drummer, rest in peace, Randy. James Kotak was one of the judges.
Rest in peace, James
Rest in-
Kodak. Yeah.
He's still alive.
Oh, I don't know. Sure.
Nader DePriest from London.
I talked to Nader yesterday. He's coming on the show, Stevie.
I love Nader.
Yeah, he'll be here.
He wanted to murder me one night at the Rainbow, and he pulled me by my neck into a booth next to Slash and said, "If you ever talk shit about me again, Mr. Tuff, you will regret it." And I was like, "I'm sorry." That was like 1987 or 88, but me and Nader, we're friends. But that's my affiliation with the mud wrestler thing.
Chris, that was a good question. Chris usually asks stupid questions, but that was a good one, and there was an interesting story behind it. I like when you share some of these Hollywood stories that if you weren't there, you certainly missed out. I will say that we're talking about Mick Mars. I should mention that this Friday, Paul Taylor is on the show, and Paul Taylor co-wrote the songs on Mick Mars' solo album, and he plays on it. A lot of people don't believe that record will ever come out. But Paul has another story, and that's all in the show. And so for those who are Mick Mars fans, it looks like there'll be some.
Paul's the guitarist from Winger, right?
Yeah, a keyboard player and guitar player for Winger, and he was an Al Cooper.
I had breakfast with him on the Monsters of Rock cruise with Steve Brown from Trickster, and Paul was a sweetheart of a guy, nice guy, gentleman. We had a nice little breakfast.
Yeah, a very nice guy, and he's got a lot of great stories, played with a lot of interesting people. Okay, I'm going back. I'm so far back, there's people talking about spoons back here, so I got to move forward. Somebody mentioned Ace Con Johnson. Not sure who that is. Let's see. Phil sounds like a bit of a twat if he visited Johnny just to badmouth Jason. Yeah, and Phil put out Johnny probably put out a full spread, but whatever. Let's see. Okay. Here's someone who points out Eros Cone Johnson.
And the thing with Ace, whenever I used to write his name in an article, I never used the same thing, and I never called him Ace Von Johnson. I would call him like Ace Von Halen or Ace Von Malmsteen or Ace Von Winger or Ace Von Gaga or whatever. Like I always changed his name. Of course, then when we had our little argument and he got a little upset with me, I only chose female last names for him. So it was kind of a way of turning the knife in a little bit, but it's all done in fun.
David asks if Blotzer's responded since I called him out. I've showed you guys that comment. Bobby Blotzer decided to take to Facebook when I was diagnosed with cancer and say that it was karma and some other bullshit. He deleted it right away because he didn't get the response he wanted. He also would like to play with Stephen Pearcy again, and I think he knows that I'm with Stephen Pearcy every day. It's probably not a good thing. I can tell you that I probably do more work, with that organization than he's going to be. I did make the point that I kicked cancer's ass, and he got kicked out of Rat.
That was funny. I like that.
I beat cancer. He beats women. You can check the police reports of the Shiprock. I'm sure it's on Metal Sludge somewhere. Warren DeMartini actually read me the entire police report. This guy is such a pansy. Anyway, no, he has not responded, and I don't expect him to. Okay, let's see.
Before you grab that next question, might I add that you are very nicely dressed tonight, Jason. Thank you for dressing properly for the occasion.
Yes, I should point out I'm sporting my Metal Sludge T-shirt, which you can buy on Metal Sludge or Tuff CDs.
Johnny's not wearing his, though.
I don't have one.
Oh, for Christ's sake. Let me get you a baby doll in the works.
You gave him an FU award, but you don't give him a T-shirt. He's wearing his Aces and Ales shirt, which is given to him. You know, he plays there. That place is owned by the great
Carrie Kelly.
King, Kerry King Kelly, the old KKK himself. And Johnny plays there when he's not out. When he's not out doing the white supremacist shows with Night Ranger. No, I'm sorry. But me and Johnny went to a Night Ranger concert. You would have thought you were at a rally. You know, these people in Henderson, Nevada, still rocking in America. Holy shit. But anyway.
I like those first two. Dawn Patrol is a great record. What do you think, Johnny?
Yeah, of course.
Dawn Patrol's great. Midnight Madness got a little quirky, but yeah, I like the Dawn Patrol was a great record.
Yeah.
Glenn's blog has a good question. Stevie, any chance you would write another Tuff album?
You know, it's funny. Todd Chase recently said to me, he's like, I'm throwing some ideas around. We thought about recording some stuff, but the thing is this, there's no demand for it. And even if there's a little demand for it, to do it properly and to make it good, it takes work, it takes energy, it takes time, it takes money, you know? And
I like
to manufacture a product, whether it's a CD or a vinyl, it's like reissuing a record from 30 years ago is 50 times as profitable as a new one.
Yeah, I think that's the right attitude. I'm okay with my favorite bands being nostalgia bands like Cinderella, even Poison. Most of them say that not going to record new music. You only play so many shows. You only have so much time. People want to hear the songs that they know, and so I don't think that. And it's always hard to recreate. I feel like a lot of bands make new music and they're trying to create the same vibe they did 30 years ago, and it sounds a little.
I'll tell you what though. You and Billy Morris could sit down and write that album in a week.
Well,
he's good.
Yeah. Well, Todd's great too.
He's got the studio and everything. Yeah, you could totally do it. I'd say do it.
But again, the point of this is like Meatloaf. How great was Bat Out of Hell?
Yeah.
One of the greatest records of the last 50 years.
That's right.
And then, I guess maybe the follow-up, I'll do anything for whatever, but I won't do that. Like, that was probably great too. But at some point, anything that he's released in the last 30 years before he died recently, nobody cares about. If Metallica makes a new record, of course, they're so big that they're going to probably go gold. But everything off the one song off of Kill 'Em All, 2 off Master of Puppets, 2 off Ride the Lightning, 4 off of the Black Album, maybe 1 off of the, Injustice for All album, and then there are a couple others sprinkled in. It's even like Guns N' Roses. They're doing a new record that,
Speaking of new records, Johnny has an album that he's been working on. It's called "She Said She Found Her Soulmate," and we've been the world has been waiting for this. Johnny bought a set of desks to get his recording gear on it. He's been sending me tracks, and it sounds fantastic. Johnny, any idea when this record's going to come out?
I don't know. I'm trying to get this bed situation figured out, and then that's next. So it's in line. But I've gotten some more work done on there. I've finished a couple new tunes, and I think it's going to be okay.
All right, so stay tuned.
When I did that record with that band from Brazil, I know it's got a wacky name, but the record that I did with Tales from the Porn is a really good record. If you like that 80s style, it's very much in the vein of Tuff, Skid Row, Doc and Rat, Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, Poison, Bon Jovi. It's literally right in there, a full record. And that was kind of out of the blue. Those guys contacted me and said, "Hey, we're a Brazilian band. We want to have an American singer. Are you interested?" I said, "Send me a couple of tracks." And they sent me a couple of tracks. And the first one I ended up telling them, I said, I want to rewrite the lyric, melody, and verse, the singing aspect of it. Musically, I think it's good. So, and I wrote it all based around that kind of stuff. And Back to the 80s was one of the songs, and Runaway Lovers, and all kinds of stuff that fits right in the demographic of people that really like that. It's like listening to the new Skid Row album. It's like that sounds like the record they would have put out after the first one before Slave to the Grind. And
Paul Taylor co-wrote the song "The Gang's All Here."
right.
I asked him, was the song originally titled "The Gang's All Here" (parentheses except for Sebastian Bach), because I feel like that's what it means. Stevie's not here for his health or his nose's health. We've been talking for like 2 hours, so we got some stuff to plug. But I also someone would like to know, could a Tuff reunion happen? Would you bring George back?
No. It's almost I haven't talked to him in years. I haven't seen him in years. But the things I've heard, the things that I did see last, no. It's like I'm bringing a homeless drug addict into the band. And
yeah, I read what you said. Yeah, it's rough.
When we get to this point in our lives, some of us have kids, some of us have a wife, some of us have a job, another job, a different band, a side project. There was a point in the early 2000s, 2003, 5, 6, something like that. We tried to bring George back into the fold multiple times. And every time we involved him, bad stuff happened. Or it was just, he would call, rehearsal was at 6 o'clock in North Hollywood. He would message me at 5:45 and say, "I'm in Woodland Hills. Do you have $5? I don't have enough for gas to get to rehearsal." You're how old? I don't have time for that.
Yeah,
I've got 2 kids I got to pick up from grade school and take to karate and do 500 other things before 6 o'clock. I'm going to make it to rehearsal. I can't babysit you. So no, we'll never play with George again, ever, under any.
All right, now let's talk about some upcoming things. That's what you're here for. This is Saturday, December 3rd. I have no idea what this means. You're going to explain it to me. This is called Kenny Ozfest. I know nothing about it other than Tuff will be celebrating the 30th anniversary of their debut album. What comes around goes around, and it's only $10 to get in. And I don't even know where this is. Tell me this is in Ohio, right?
At MVP's. Johnny's probably played there before, in Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Kenny Ozfest. We played this once before, like 5, 6 years ago. It'll be a Saturday night gig. We're also playing on Friday night, the 2nd, in Cleveland, Ohio, or Strongsville, to be more direct, at a place called The Local Bar. And Tuff will play that night, and Billy Morris's solo band will play too. Billy Morris and the Sunset Strip, which they do a lot of covers. And so we'll be in Ohio December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, Strongsville, and then in Cincinnati at the Kenny Ozfest.
We've mentioned Billy Morris a bunch of times, but for those people who don't know, Billy's a guitar player out of Ohio and a great guitar player. And he played with Warrant for a bunch of years while Joey was out. Yep. He was in there, and I think he might have been in Quiet Riot for a little bit.
He was in Quiet Riot for a few shows with Kevin and Frankie, and he also played with Paul Gilbert when Paul did some kind of like thing in Japan, I think, like 20 years ago or something. So Billy's great. He's a sweetheart of a guy too, and he's been playing in Tuff basically for the last 12, 15 years as a guitarist. And as Johnny knows as well, he used to own a club there called the Hi-Fi. So when a lot of our bands would go through Cleveland, Tuff, Bullet Boys, Enough's Enough, Rhino Bucket, Pretty Boy Floyd, LA Guns, Faster Pussycat, we all played Billy's club, which was called the Hi-Fi in Lakewood, Ohio.
So Johnny, Stephen Pearcy Band is only playing domestically so far. No overseas yet. Could happen at some point. Johnny is always, when he sees everyone else traveling to glamorous locations, he sometimes shakes his head and slams his fist on one of his many desks. He sees that you're going to Ohio, but that you're also going to Australia. This is crazy. You're going to sit on a plane for 25 hours to go to Glamfest. And this is Glamfest 2023. This is a great lineup. A Faster Pussycat is in the top spot. Underneath that is Wednesday 13. Eclipse, I don't know what that is. Tell me what that is, Stevie.
Eclipse is from Sweden. They're one of these more newer progressive AOR melodic rock bands that I think they're on Frontiers. They've been on a couple of the cruises. They've gotten a really good reaction. And so they're on the bill. Then Johnny's favorite band is on there, Enough's Enough, Pretty Boy Floyd, Tuff. There's a couple bands that are Australian based, like Sisters Doll and Corazon. Is that what it is? Those us 8 bands are on all the shows.
The me.
Brisbane, Melbourne, Adelaide, and Sydney. And then there's also 1 or 2 local bands on each one of those bills. So there's like 10 bands on every date.
Me and Johnny are concerned when bands or businesses name themselves after something that you can't pronounce. So, someone we work with has a new business venture. I won't say what it is, and I'll tell you later. And we don't know how to pronounce it. And croissant or croissant or whatever it is. It's probably foreign, but it's not a great idea.
Croissant. I can't see it right now. I can't.
Yeah. Anyway,
I mean, these on others.
Okay. So anyway, but now, Stevie, did you go all the way to Australia for this one show?
No. You're sharing a poster that's just for one of the dates. There's 4 dates. We're playing in Brisbane. There's a show in Melbourne. There's a show in Adelaide, and then there's a show in Sydney. So that's
hold on, I have that.
I did that whole circuit with LA Guns, and then they left me there.
You left? They left you, or you chose to stay?
No, they left me in Australia.
Well, how did that happen?
So that's the Tuff poster with the 4 dates on it, and then there's another poster that has like all the bands. But
that'll be a good tour. It'll be good. That'll be great.
It's going to be a blast, but obviously we know how this works on the road with 1 band, much less 2, and then you're going to have 6.
Yeah, but it's summer out there right now, right?
No, but I know. But there's going to be some moment where everybody's in the lobby trying to get in a shuttle van going to the airport. They're going to go, "Hey, where is the bassist from Faster Pussycat?" And everyone will go, check a dumpster behind the hotel.
Not only is it going to be summer, it's going to be Stevie Sex Summers.
Yes. So, and not only is it summer, but that week is that week of Australia Day, which I Googled it. It's the Thursday, and I guess it's in some ways it's like their 4th of July. So that whole week is kind of like everybody's cutting out of work by Tuesday, and they're drinking and partying and picnicking and sexing and not wearing rubbers and all kinds of fun.
You better protect your nose.
Wow, this sounds really.
You better protect your nose out there, Stevie. Who the hell knows what could happen?
So aside from Australia, on Valentine's Day, I will be flying to Bangkok, Thailand.
Now what? One night in Bangkok. How did this come about?
Hold it. Johnny is doing a dance. He's doing the go-go girl.
One night in Bangkok in the world, your oyster.
Yeah, I'm going to be going there for 10 days, and yes, I will be playing. It's all at this point, as they call it, TBA, to be announced. There's a bar, there's a promoter, there's a band, there's a whole little situation that's it's already somewhat locked in, but I can't announce it yet. But I will be playing in Bangkok, Thailand in the middle of February. I leave on the 14th, and I'll be there the 16th through the 25th.
Hey, speaking of little situations, Stevie, when you're there, you got to check these ladies' underpants because some of them are fellas, you know?
Some of them are fellas.
Wow.
That's what I heard. I've never been to Thailand, but you got to be careful, you know? And you can't ask questions. They don't speak English, but you've got to be careful.
Jason, I live in the outskirts of Los Angeles. Okay.
Right.
I've been here for 35 years.
You can spot it.
Yeah, there's been some of those ladies that are really fellas, you know, I've seen it before.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Right.
Stevie, did you fall off a ladder this year? We're hanging a backdrop?
Oh, is that a question from a fan?
Well, yeah, somebody says he had a rough year and then he fall off a ladder while hanging a backdrop and brush his shoulder.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a ladder, it was a road case. And it was on the Monsters of Rock cruise, this past one, where we were one of the fill-in bands. What was that? Was it February? Like February 20th or something?
Because you were willing to risk your life.
Well, I'm a blue collar guy. When I go to the shows and they're like, hey, somebody needs help hanging this, or they can't lift the PA cabinet, I'm like, okay, let me help you guys.
Never offer help.
Yeah. So I went to one of the clubs on the ship, and Johnny's been on these ships, so he knows how these the orange lounge or the black and white room or whatever. And we had a backdrop, so I went there to hang it. Our show's at 8 p.m., so I got there at 7:30, and I'm standing on these road cases, and of course everybody said, "Be careful." I was like, I got it. And then we slid the road case, and it was one of these half stack cases, Johnny. One of the ones that you put the half stack in. So it's kind of vertical and tall. And I'm standing under a zip tie. Wham! Right on my back.
Oh,
and
fuck.
I hit this arm so hard within 24 hours. My shirt color here, my entire arm was black.
Was that before the first show? So you had to do the rest of the course?
Before the first show. So yeah, and then of course we did the show, and my arm swelled up like a softball, and of course everyone said you have to go. I went to the emergency room in the bottom of the ship.
Dr. Stubing.
Bernie Capel was the doc.
So I had to go down there and get x-rays and all kinds of stuff, and 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like sweating and dirty shirt, but yeah, there's been a couple of uphill battles this year.
Well, they all come in threes, so you still got Thailand. Or where are you going?
Yeah, well.
Yeah. Ohio, Australia, Thailand, and then I'm going to Nashville.
Wow, you're going all over the place.
Now, hold on, we'll get to Nashville because I'm fascinated by this one. But I want to make sure that we thank the doctor for taking care of you on the cruise. He was making sure that your shoulder is okay. There he is now. And
is that the doctor from the Love Boat or something?
Yes, he's also the same one who saved a woman's life when Bobby Blotzer was assaulting her. A lot of the crazy shit happens on these cruises. Anyway, let's answer this person's question. Then we'll talk about this big event that you're going to, which is I'm so puzzled by it. But anyway, hey Stevie, I have a bunch of Tuff merch. With that said, will you ever record another Tuff? Well, he answered that, or re-release Religious Fix like you did. What comes around goes around. And final question: how did you get the nickname Ratchet?
Ratchet. Well, I used to work at a moving company, and my stage name is Rachelle, but obviously not my real name. But some guy that worked at the moving company or that owned the moving company, he just started calling me Ratchet. It was actually him and Kelv Hellraiser that called me Ratchet. Johnny, you know who Kelv Hellraiser was?
I don't know what that is. Who's that?
Kelv Hellraiser was the guy that wrote the column for Kerrang! Magazine and Metal Forces, the super glam guy.
Oh yeah, okay.
And he actually passed away a couple of years ago.
Everyone's dying.
Kelv was a great guy. He loved the whole Hollywood scene. Him and Mike from the moving company, Load Lock and Roll, nicknamed
Mike.
Oh, so you know Mike. I
worked for that company for one day. I had to carry a dresser up a stairs with this guy, this huge guy. It was like 6'4". Can you imagine me at the bottom of that dresser?
I worked there for 10 years, and at some point I was helping manage and dispatch from the office. But
well, you remember Paulina, right? Pauline.
Oh, of course, that Mike dated.
Right. So we go back from Chicago. And then when I came out here, out there, when I first got there, it's like, I can get you a job if you want a job. I'm like, yes, please. I show up like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
You guys share a lot of memories and things besides Josie Pearl. It's strange that when this all comes up, you didn't know you guys had such a history.
So and Paulina was like 5'9", and Mike was like 5'3".
Right. She's very nice. I go way back with her. She's friends with
Sweetheart, yeah.
Alex Kane and all them, and
Right.
total Chicago girl. And she got me this job, and he's like, "All right, well, you got to show up at like 5:30, you know." So I'd get there, and you know, like with all these normal looking, and it's like me, and then there was like those, who are the Crayola kids? Remember them?
Yeah, well, that one of them was my roommate, Todd.
Okay, well, I think they also did that, and they would show up with their skateboards. Like they would skateboard around on, you know, and I'm like, I gotta get a skateboard.
Jason, you want to know why they were called the Crayola kids, Jason?
I'm wondering.
Every single one of them had a different color hair. Like
Yeah.
one was pink, one was purple, one was blue, one was green, one was yellow.
I'm like, look at these guys, they're cool. I got that. What do you got? A Mako shark? Got a skateboard.
Crayola kids.
Yeah, and then there was me, like with them, and you know, moving furniture, like heavy stuff, like I could barely lift. That's probably how I got my hernia.
I was gonna say you probably weren't built for the moving job. So
no, I was.
We're all falling apart here. Speaking of falling apart, I got to tell you, there's podcast is the hot thing right now. Everyone is rocking and podcasting, and during the COVID, you know, the big event, the big pandemic, people all decided we got to find another way to make a living. And a lot of musicians performed in their living room, some worse than others, most pretty bad. And then some would get like a rehearsal space and put out something. And I get it. Look, people got to make a living, but the technology wasn't always there. But a lot of people also decided that they would interview people. Now, I went to school for journalism a long time ago, and broadcast journalism, and I wanted to interview people. I worked for Geraldo, and I always wanted to have my own talk show. I never thought I'd be sitting around yapping in my living room doing this, but it seemed like the time I had a lot of friends who do this. So I started it, and people seemed to enjoy it. And they enjoyed that I let people talk. Maybe not as much on these live shows, but in the interviews, the idea was that people tune in to watch the guests, not me. I also wasn't scared to ask certain questions because I knew a lot of these people and I've worked in the industry. And so I try to be honest. And I think people like that. I try to watch other people's podcasts, and a lot of them are really painful. There's sometimes where you get these three jackasses sitting around talking about pizza and stuff. I can't, I don't get it. And then everyone's got a Kiss podcast. And, here today, Vinnie Vincent's, you know, did this, and who cares? And so those are hard for me to listen to also. So my goal was not to be the center of my own podcast, to let the guests be on it. But then I started doing these lives, and I find Johnny to be very funny, and I think the audience liked it. And so this live thing came out of it. So I think there's too many podcasts, but I would never tell somebody not to do what they do. But if you're doing an interview with someone and it has 45 views, you probably should look into another line of work.
45
you know, I see it. No, I see it. And that doesn't.
After 6 months, it has 45 views.
Oh, yes. Oh, or a year. You see it. And I'm not trying to say that it's the guest's fault. But
Right.
I would never go on a show that had 45 views. What you know, and people are nice enough to ask me to come on theirs. I talk on here for 3 hours every day. So it's not, I was very fortunate to have a lot of subscribers. I was fortunate your site and some of the other sites picked up some stories. We got some good stuff. And so that was that. I still try to watch. Sometimes I see a guy get a good score. I go, wow, how did he get that interview? And a lot of them remind me of Chris Farley, you know, so you were in Tuff. What was that like? And then it's off to the races. And
do you remember that one time when you were standing next to the bassist and he asked you for...
There's a lot of that. And then there's like, you know, what is Phil Lewis really like, you know, or whatever, just nonsense. And then I try to only put people on the show that I think have a story. I try to find one. If not, you'll see some interesting interviews coming up. I got Jimmy Bell from Autograph. First question, how the hell is there a band called Autograph with no original members? And right. I didn't pull punches. We get into it. He's a good guy. He tells a good story. And so anyway, I try to keep this thing entertaining, and thankfully people like it. But they do this thing in Nashville. It's called Rockin' Pod. And it's right. A place where people who have podcasts get together, and not just podcasts, but people who are in this entertainment world. And it's like a convention, I believe. And I think I think it's slightly ridiculous. I also wasn't invited, but so this is the second year of this. I mean, Johnny and I are definitely
Is it the second, or I know it's been going on for a couple years, I think, but maybe the last one was the one that really kind of probably surfaced a little bit more than maybe the previous one. So I don't know if it is the second, it might be the third, or am I wrong?
I'm always the last to know. If someone in the audience has any idea about it, they can tell us. But the
Right.
lineups are getting better, and there's some cool people, and it seems like it's kind of a fun hang. I think Johnny and I are the podcasting sensation, but no one is called yet. But you will be the other problem is with me, Stevie. I have the same thing you have. I forget who I talk shit about, and then I go to these things. And I go, oh fuck! That's because touring with Stephen Pearcy is a job,
Right.
and then I see bands like Vixen, and I go, fuck! There's one person in Vixen. This is a little ridiculous. And then I realize we share the same agent, and I'm like, oh, I better not say that it's ridiculous that only the drummer's in Vixen.
Well, the thing is, it's not that you just talk shit about them and now you have to face them. It's like, here's the thing. I've always been a little bit of a ball buster. So when we were on the road with Tuff, even 35 years ago, and if there was a guy that was way shorter than everybody else, he was a midget. End of story. Hey, midget, hand me the fucking drink. The guy could have been 5'6", but I'm 6 foot. Some guy's 6'1". We just busted his balls, and the guy that was chubby, it'd be like, hey, Farley, hand me a sandwich, and the guy standing there that's Farley,
Pussycat, yeah,
clearly, 80 pounds overweight. Wasn't mean-spirited. It was just the way we were, and the same way that if I get in a room and I was with Johnny and 5 guys that were Chicago Bear fans, I'd be ripping them all day long and telling them how horrible the Bears are, and they'd be making fun of me for being a Packer fan. So when Metal Sludge came around and we started posting online, clearly it's 1998. There was no Facebook, there was no YouTube, there was no Twitter, no Instagram, there was no social media at all. Most people didn't even have a computer yet. Half the people didn't even have a cell phone or an email. So we were like, hey, we have this website. Let's talk about Slaughter and Warrant and Sebastian Bach or Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue. And so we just started this little thing. And of course, a lot of it was like, that fucking bald piece of shit, fuck him. Like it was just, we'd make fun of people. And over the years, that obviously grew. At some point, people got offended. Some guys we learned had very thin skin. Some guys went, okay, I get it. Funny, ha ha ha. Maybe a little low rent for me. It's like Howard Stern was a lot of fun. And I've listened to him and thought he was great. But at some point, as I got a little older, I was like, okay, I don't want to hear Fart Sounds by Jackie the Joke Man or the anal ring toss. They have some hooker or stripper with a pole in her ass and they're trying to throw donuts on it. Like, it's like, okay, that's kind of dumb. Like, I want to hear them interview Paul McCartney. Like, that's a great interview. And the same thing happened with Metal Sludge. At some point, it was kind of goofy. We did some crazy stuff. Some people kind of grew out of it. And over the years, I've thought the same thing too. I'm standing somewhere and then somebody goes, hey, so-and-so from Trickster's over there. I'm like, oh, really? Cool. Tell them to come over here. Let's say hi, And I'm friends with Steve and PJ. But, at some point, we probably made fun of Trickster or Danger or Pretty Boy Floyd.
Yeah, you've never avoided it. Yeah, you and I think that's a good way to handle. I mean, and for the record, I think I could take the guys in Vixen. So I'm not that scared. I mean, maybe the drummer,
the guys,
gals. Not that it matters, but anyway, but they're nice, and I'm sure. But then there's a band called The Sweet. I grew up. I love The Sweet. This is one of the greatest bands of all time. People should know.
One that Stewart plays guitar in.
I don't know because none of them are really The Sweet. It should be called Unsweetened or Saccharin or some bullshit because The
Sweet and Low.
Yeah, and I see these guys playing, and I'm sure they're nice and they're making a living. I get that, but there's not one guy who has anything to do with The Sweet. They got to call that a tribute to the Sweet. All right. Anyway, tell me, because we've been talking forever, and I want to get some of these people's questions, but I also want you to tell me about Rockin' Tide Pod, or whatever it is that you're going to. It's in Nashville. When is it?
It's the weekend of the 17th and 18th. I don't know a lot about it other than it's what you said. It's a podcast convention.
What month,
Yes.
Stephen?
March 17th and 18th of 2023. So like 4 months away. And I guess there's a pre-party on the Friday night. There's a band playing called Rare Hair, which does all hair band kind of music. So they said, will you get up and sing a few songs? And I said, of course. I'll do a Poison, a Motley Crue, a Kiss, whatever, And then at some point, I guess the next day I got to walk around and talk to a bunch of people at all the different podcast stops. Oh. And then they give me a table where I can set up merchandise, and I'll have some pretty girl that will sell it for me all day, and meet, greet, eat some food.
Look, Nashville's great. And there's a lot of people who live in Nashville. You'd be surprised how many musicians, more of the Hollywood musicians, are living in Nashville. So I'm sure it'll be a good turnout, and people can check that out. And it sounds interesting. I think, though, most people who have a podcast have horrible personalities. They're people that you don't want to get stuck in an elevator with, or they're, I don't like to call any of them out by name, but some of these guys have been doing it a long time, and they just kiss up to the same fucking people. And, you know what I mean? But let's see. Let's play rapid fire with these questions. And Stevie, before you go, me and Johnny have been playing this game on here called F, Marry, Kill. Maybe you'd be up to play around with us. Let's see here what we got. Is any thoughts on RLS Records, that's Stevie's record label, trying to contact Janie Lane's estate and putting out some of his unreleased material?
No.
Not even true.
No, not true, and I would never do it. There's too much red tape involved.
All right, hold on. I got to turn this alarm off real quick. You guys.
It's just you and me, Johnny.
Okay. Well,
you want to make out or what?
No, it's. I mean, is there a hot tub near here? No, we talk sometimes. We talk on the phone.
We do.
We've known each other for a long time now. We've known each other for what, 20 years?
Well, probably more, but we just didn't know each other that well before. But
that's right.
We connected here.
That's right. We always have a good time, and it's great that you're out there doing stuff. I need to get out there doing stuff. As soon as I get this bed situation figured out, I am going to be out there.
Well, you are out there with Piercy.
I am impersonating myself, but I am out there. Yes, I do love to get up and get on the plane. Me and Jason get on the airplane, and we sometimes they pass us up when they hand out the snacks, and we're not happy with that. So someone will speak up, "Excuse me, I didn't get my nuts," and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry," like it's our fault, and then they give you every snack on the plane.
Yeah, and I always say, they hand you like one thing of pretzels, and there's like 4 pretzels in there that are like the size of your thumbnail. It's like, can I get a couple bags of those? Like, I'm 205. I've actually cut down a little bit. I was 220 something.
You got to speak up. You got to speak up, or the lady who's trying to get her luggage in the overhead and won't get out of the middle of the aisle is going to get all the snacks. So you have to say, can I get a couple snacks? Because I'm sure she won't mind.
A lot of these people think they think Johnny and I are gay when we go on these flights. The flight attendants, they sometimes think that I have no idea why, but sometimes they think that we're of the homosexual persuasion. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but a lot of the guys like
guilty, and they always think I'm the power top.
Well, and I'll tell you what, when there is a gay steward, because that's what a guy's call a steward, not a stewardess, right?
Right.
And he's clearly on fire. It's just super like
Miami.
Would you like something to drink?
Oh yeah. No,
I'm always very nice to them, and they're usually very nice back to me. And that way, if I say, cookies or not, cookies or peanuts, I'm like, 2 of each. Like, oh, look at you, you're big and strong. Sure, it's like, okay, 2 cookies, 2. Can I get the whole can of Coke, not just like a little bit in there? Or when they put, you can say ice and they put like 1 ice cube in there. It's like, no, I want like all ice, and I want the whole can.
That
Don't
ice is
even-
contaminated.
Yeah, you got to skip the ice. I'm learning. Skip the ice.
There's
okay, so I probably, and again with my nose,
right.
what else? I guess I should be taking wipes and wiping down my seat.
Oh, you should see me and him on the airplane. It's
You
like
take the wipes home.
me and him on the airplane is like the two invisible men just got on the plane. Everyone's looking at us like we're the problem. Coughing and sneezing, screaming. Their kids are like, "I like cookie."
And people were mad that we wore
around.
masks, Stevie. They were really mad at us for a
Very
long
upset.
time.
Very upset with us.
You think they thought it was a political statement that these people were sneezing
Idiots.
and coughing all over each other.
Some guy coughing up a loogie, spitting on the back of my head. So I turn around and look at him like, "What's your problem?" You're like, hello. You're totally unaware. Just shoving your bags in the overhead.
Scott Coogan was on the flight, and he had a person behind him vomit, and the vomit rolled all over his bag and all over his section.
Oh my God!
He got 10,000. He got 10,000 bonus miles, but I don't know if that's worth the price. I've learned, Stevie, also when you're on the plane and they think you're in a rock band, I've come up with I just say Sin City Sinners or Sin City Rejects, because then the conversation's over. Cover band, and then they don't talk anymore. But if you should say Rat or anything like that, you could get into this discussion. Some people in bands like to get on the plane and go, "I'm in Rat, here I am." Some people want to have that conversation with people on the plane. I try.
Who says that? Who says that?
I'm not going to say. But so sometimes people they Google you though. The flight attendants Google, because we were on a flight and we had a delay, and then they come over and they whisper to me, "Stephen Piercy, a Rat," and because they've Googled him and they figured out through his elaborate costume.
No
right,
backtrackers.
Now listen, he gets very mad at backtrackers, very angry.
The people that put
he's the guy who likes to get up first. He likes to be on the plane first, and he likes to get off first. And when he gets up, he's got his bag. If your bag is a few sections past Stephen, oh boy, he will not let that. It's not going to fly. Hey, no backtrackers. You got to wait your turn.
He will let you know.
Wow.
All right. So listen, I want to get these people's questions in here.
Let them rip. I'm ready.
Okay. First, here's $10. So I got to get to that one first. Hey guys, great show. My wife Kim and her friend Carol say hello to big fans. Well, hello to Kim and Carol and Tris. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Do we still have 170 people, or did 168 of them leave?
No, it's 189 right now.
Wow, Johnny, you are pulling some people tonight, dude. I had no idea you had this big of a draw.
I don't think it's me.
Silverback Orangutan agrees that Johnny and I are funny, but we need to have this guy. This guy is Stevie Rachelle, needs to be on more often. I think so too. I would like to have Stevie come on and talk about the top news stories every now and then.
Or come on a spoon.
Or come on a stew. Greg Peterson,
Johnny.
And we'll try to rip through these quick. Has Steve ever been propositioned by a male rocker?
No, but I have been with a transsexual.
You've been with a transsexual? You've been propositioned?
Whoa, did I just say that? No, I've never been propositioned by a guy. But I was just going to ask if anyone ever was, had any left of center activity. Hey, at some point things happen. It's life. Can't wait for Sleaze Rocks to write the headline.
Next thing you know, you're in Australia.
Yeah, well, all of a sudden, Rockin' Pod is going to be more exciting than ever. Here's a question. This is a tough one.
You guys got quiet there.
Stevie, any plans to was there any plans to bring Tuff to Canada?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because Canada has some very strict policies on people getting in and out of the country. I know that I'm all good, but I know there's might be somebody in the project that might have had something happen in their lives that would have a problem if we showed up at customs. And Canada's super strict, so I don't even want to try it. For people who don't tour in bands, you can't even have a DUI and get into Canada. Someone I know had a DUI, which is a boating under the influence. I won't say
polyglot game. But you have to call ahead and work on it. It's hard. Also, there's bands like LA Guns who try to drive the van across the border, and they found some things in the, I don't remember which lineup this was, but they found some things and they tear the van up and they make you stay. And also it's making things affordable. We had one show in Canada, East Coast. It's a long way to go for
Montreal.
One. Yeah, Montreal. It's a long way to go to do one show, and so it's tough. And you know, no pun intended, it's tough. But you know, it's got to be worth your time and your guys' time to do it. So okay.
So no plans for Canada because it's just too tricky. And the thing is, put all the things together and then fly there and then get to customs and then have one guy's DUI from 1992 pop up and they go, sorry. And then what am I supposed to do? Okay, you wait in Buffalo and we'll go to Toronto and play the show and see if we can find somebody there to help fill in. So
I've done that. That's happened.
Yeah, not worth it.
No, it's hard. It's a lot of work. Yeah, but it's very nice there. That they have very pretty people there, and they have Todd Kearns. So,
Stevie, have you ever talked to the guys about Exciter?
Talk to which guys about Exciter?
Have ever talked to you guys about Exciter? I don't really know.
Okay, this person can't write a sentence.
He might not. Welcome to my world. He might need to rephrase.
Exciter was my first ever band, and it was spelled X.
He had that.
ITER. So obviously, some people know that. I was originally singing in a band called Exciter in 1985, which we did covers, but we also did a couple of, we did a demo, and one of the songs on the demo was called Kiss the Girl Goodbye, which Kiss the Girl Goodbye was DACG, and eventually that morphed into I Hate Kissing Goodbye many years later and became a Tuff #3 video on MTV.
So he wants to know if you talked to any of those guys. I think that was the question. Do you still talk to anyone from that band?
Exciter?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mike Schneider is the bassist. He's online. Mike Schneider. Jason Giordano was the guitar player. The original guitarist before that was a guy named Mike Stowe from Oshkosh, but he passed away like 15 years ago.
This is like Spinal Tap, like the small faces and the little small faces.
A couple of Jim Gipp was the second drummer. Dan Goober, Lautenschlager was the first.
Now you're just making shit up.
No, seriously. Dan Lautenschlager, his nickname was Goober. He's on Facebook too. Dan Lautenschlager. Yeah.
Goobs, yeah. All right. Live to Jam. Live to Jam shelled out $10. I'm going to have to take Stevie for a coffee or something one of these days. But he'd like to know if there's a recording of Boys from Brick City available anywhere.
No, but there might be a rehearsal version of it somewhere, which was a really cool song. Boys from Brick City or Brick City Boys, a song that we had put together. Probably 89, 90, but we never really demoed it properly.
I like these people. I'm assuming this is a joke. Any plans to perform in Omro, Wisconsin?
No, but Omro is probably population like 20,000 maybe, and it's on the out. It's like 20 minutes from Oshkosh where I grew up. I probably played there maybe at some point in like 85 or 86.
Favorite song off of Fist First?
I'll just say Tie to the Bells because it's probably the coolest track on there.
All right, let's see. Brian wants to say that the #3 video should have been #1 if MTV hadn't cock-blocked Tuff.
Cock-blocked?
Yeah, we were behind Metallica and Guns N' Roses. I don't know who was first or second or what.
Not bad.
Something off of November Rain or something like that,
What?
Not bad company. Dr. Paul Shortino would like to know, the entire chat is still dying to know the answer to this question. Which had more people in it, LA Guns or Josie Pearl?
Oh, God.
We don't work blue around here. You guys.
That's a dirty question. Josie's a sweetheart, and she's super sexy.
Yeah. Rockin' Pod will be the 5th year. This is 5 years.
Okay, so I was right. I had a feeling it was at least like maybe 3, but last year was the first year it really kind of, I think, made a little bit of a name for itself. It got a little bigger.
Yeah, Sludge for life. I tell people I've been touring with bands for a while now. It's funny to see how many people are looking at Metal Sludge. They're on the gossip board. You know, I think no one tells each other. I mean, me and Johnny look at it, though. We admit it, show each other, laugh at who's made a fool of themselves for the day. But yeah, you see all the band guys looking to see who's on there and what ridiculous things they've done. And it's been how many years now for Sludge? 22, 23? No more, 23, 24?
September 1st of 2023 will be 25 years. So we're in the 25th year right now. It's 24 years, 2 months.
It's great.
And a week and 3 days, 2 days.
What part of Wisconsin are you
Am I from?
Yeah.
Oshkosh.
Oh, that's right. I'm looking at it right now. We're pretty close.
You mean to Chicago?
We're from where I'm at. Yeah.
Yeah. So like 3.5 hours or something.
That's crazy, right?
When I flew here, I flew out of Midway though, not O'Hare.
Oh, really?
Like when I first came here in '87, my flight was from Midway to Sky Harbor in Phoenix, and then from Phoenix it connected me to LAX.
I'm looking at it right now.
Oshkosh?
And I'm looking at from me to drive to your house in Oshkosh.
Are you coming over or what?
It's 185 miles, 3 hours. So that's not that bad. It's not.
Yeah.
It's right past Fond du Lake, which I really enjoy.
Fond du Lac, correct.
I really like it there.
Do you know what Fond du Lac means?
I don't.
In French?
No.
That means south of the water.
And it is south of the water because there's a huge
lake.
That's
Lake Winnebago. Exactly.
That's right.
It's right at the very southern tip of Lake Winnebago.
And then, if you go past that, you hit your town. And if you keep going past that, you hit Appleton.
Right. But before Appleton is Nina Menasha.
Well, they wouldn't know that, but they will know Appleton because you know who is from Appleton, right?
I don't.
Houdini.
Really?
That's right.
So
do you know this part of Wisconsin? Menno Money. You know that place?
Menominee.
Yeah, I heard that on the Muppets. Phenomena.
Yeah, all the cities have weird Indian spelling. So everybody always goes, what's Kenosha? I mean, you mean Kenosha or Wauwatosa or Waiawiga or...
You know who lives in Kenosha?
I don't.
Yeah.
Michelangelo.
and Al from Happy Days.
And then you know who used to live in Milwaukee?
Fonzie.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Jeffrey Dahmer. So do you know who's in the Wisconsin Area Music Industry Hall of Fame, the Whammies? You know who's in there?
No.
I'm thinking Stevie is. Yeah.
I'm thinking you might be.
And you know who else is in the Wisconsin Area Music Hall of Fame along with me?
Who?
Liberace.
What? You saw the house is over here.
He's from Wisconsin.
Figures.
Liberace.
Now it makes sense.
Steve Miller.
What?
Yes. And Butch Vig.
Really?
Yeah.
Butch
so
Vig produced Nevermind.
Yeah, correct. And now Johnny's starting to draw the comparisons. Me and Liberace and Jeffrey Dahmer. It's all
But I do love, a lot of people have moved into Wisconsin or up that way. Have you ever thought of moving back home, or would it be just like you? Because every time I go home, 3 days and I'm like losing my mind. But I always think it's a good idea before I go. Like, this is going to be great. I'm going to get out of here. I can't stand it. I'm going to move home. But then what would I do? You're going to play the 3 clubs and be like the biggest guy, in town.
Right.
And
I was thinking of this, trust me, it's run past my mind. But then I thought to myself, where Johnny Monaco grew up, what was the street you grew up on in what city?
Well, if we're going way back, I don't think that counts.
Like 1976 when you were 10. Let's just go with that.
Yeah, Cherrywood.
how close were you to John Wayne Gacy's house when they started pulling all those kids' bodies from underneath it? My question is,
hold on,
you drive
Stevie.
past his house? Or
Stevie, do
not?
you know this? Stevie, do you know this story? Or you're
No,
just
I don't. But I just know that John Wayne Gacy is from that exact
well,
area. So I'm like,
John
between
Wayne.
Chip and Donnie and Vic Fox and Johnny Monaco, I can't believe none of them were fucking molested.
Well, I'm going to tell you right. I'm going to tell you right now. John Wayne Monaco has an answer to this.
Okay.
Those guys are from the South Side, which is far from where that was. Now, where that wasn't actually in my neighborhood, but it was only a 15-minute, 20-minute ride right off the highway. So when all this was happening, my crazy friends down the street who drove at the time were like, "Come on, I'm picking you up. I gotta go there. Something's going on. There's this guy." So 15-year-old me got in the car and drove over there, and we sat in front of the house and they were pulling the bodies out and
Oh my
they're
God.
filming it. And so some of those photos that they took from back then, it was like freezing cold out.
That's your friend's station wagon parked on the side of the street.
Saw it. We didn't know what it was going on. And I never even thought about it until like recently. But it's like, yeah, that crazy fuck. And Displains is where he would pick up all his tricks.
Right.
That's what they call them, right? Jason, tricks. And he would pick them up in Displains by the river, which is right by where the Thirsty Whale was, and Gene and Jude's was, and the theater that we just played in Displains Theater, and with Stephen Piercy. So there's a connection between Stephen Piercy and John Wayne Gacy in that respect. And but that town, that Midwest, something about the Midwest, it just you can't get it out of you. You can go to California. I've lived in LA. I lived in Hollywood for several years. I live out here now with these lunatics. But it's like there's something about the Midwest that you just is in you. And
there's another famous serial killer that's from Wisconsin. Who's the guy that cut the girl's nipples off and made a belt out of it?
Is it Ed Gein?
Ed Gein?
Ed Gein is from Joliet. No, that's closer like Joliet, Rockford. That's close by Cheap Trick area.
Another one of your guys. Okay.
Yeah.
So, between Wisconsin and Illinois, I think we got the most fucking demented, weird pedophile fucking.
Well, they're tough winters. So.
Wow. It's amazing that we never ended up on a milk carton, Johnny.
Well, but you went out there early. What time? When did you go to LA? What year did you move out there?
87. I was already 21.
Me too. So no, actually 2 years before that, I went there prior to you to go to GIT, and then I stayed, and I was there for like maybe 12 years, and then I moved back to join Enough's Enough. I went back and forth a few times actually, but the main times was between 84 and 96. So we were kind of there at the same time.
Right. In 85, actually, I went to Florida first. I graduated 84, and when the winter came, I said, I'm out. So me and my buddy flew to Florida, and I knew a girl who was staying there with a guy that was a Miami Dolphin third string tight end. And he had like this big house and a bunch of money. And they said, if you come down, you can stay in the guest house. So we go to Orlando. They pick us up in a Mercedes convertible. It's January 1985. I'm 18 years old. We're driving down the freeway. They're drinking beers. And then they start chopping up blow on a fucking flat. And they go, you want any? I was like, no, that's cool. So yeah, I'm in Florida for like 30 minutes and I'm getting offered beer and Coke in a fucking convertible Mercedes.
Let's go.
I kind of like it here.
No, I've been to Florida. It's interesting. It's every place you go is just a whole different world, But there's something about LA that it just, when you get off the plane, you smell that smell, and it's the airplane fuel, and just things, and you just feel like you're somewhere where things are going to happen. Like I'm going to write that song, or when I go home to Chicago, I'm just like, Mom, meatloaf. So I never know. It's just, you always have that feeling though in you. Do you feel that? Do you ever feel like you want to go back and you want to move? Stay there? Or?
The winters are just such a drag.
No, I get it. I get it.
Cold. I just want to. It's like.
But you're from there. You get it. You're the Packers fan. You go to games. But there's something about sitting on those wooden seats and they're eating hot dogs and they're into it, and they came out and there's underneath the seats, there's people making out, and there's football going on. I like
the food. I like the food, but also, like, I'm not into all the stuff that most people from there are into. I don't like hunting. I don't go fishing. I don't
Yeah,
go
yeah,
snowmobiling. I don't like
yeah,
chewing tobacco. I don't
yeah,
shoot
yeah,
guns.
yeah.
I'm
Skin
like,
young boys. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I I get it. I get it. No, I felt the same way too. I was like a fish out of water as well. But there's just something in it that when you see the greenness and the roads and you know the highway and you just know where everything is and there's like a feel to the city, there's that. I don't find that anywhere else for some reason. Maybe you do because you've been there for so long.
well, a lot of things that when I go home to Oshkosh, a lot of things have changed.
Yeah, yeah, that
Some of
too.
some of my favorite restaurants are no longer there.
That too. That too.
But every time I drive home and I get out at O'Hare and I get a rental car and I go up past Milwaukee,
Yeah,
just as I pass Fond du Lac on the
yeah,
41,
yeah,
I start seeing the signs.
yeah,
Adult sex shop, next exit. Like
mm,
there's this
yeah,
super sex shop just south of Oshkosh
yeah.
that's now it was like a little tiny hut when I moved away. Now
Mm,
it's like a Walmart, and
yeah.
they got like butt plugs that are like this big around. And I'll
Mm.
stop in there. I'm like, where are you gonna put that? Like,
That's right.
how and people are buying them because the fucking place is bigger than ever.
Yeah. Well, it's that and fireworks and
Yeah,
there's some
fireworks and butt plugs.
there's a cheese place, the cheese
Yeah,
place, of
the
course.
cheese palace with all the
That's right.
fucking,
That's right. But that's getting way out there. That's when you're getting like this is getting kind of far. But when you're in the city and you just have a vibe and you see the greenery and the way the highway signs are, and just the smell and the vibe, there's just things about the Midwest that just scream Midwest, and
Right.
you never can get rid of that, I don't think. I don't know, maybe.
December 16th, you can see Johnny with Stephen Piercy in the Midwest at the McHenry, Illinois, at the Vixen Theater, not the band of the fellas that I was talking about earlier, but the name of the venue. The name of the venue is the Vixen. And you can come out McHenry, Illinois, and you can see Johnny. And Johnny might spend the holidays there. So if anyone wants to meet up with Johnny, just go on his Craigslist, and you guys can hang out.
I didn't shave today either.
This is a little bit of an outdated thing to say, but they said that Tuff, I hate kissing goodbye. My God, bro, you were spelled wrong, a Bret Michaels clone. Have you ever heard of that before, Stevie?
No, that's so original. And it's funny because in 84, I turned 18 on March 2nd. On March 8th, and I know this because I recently looked it up, I went to Dane County Coliseum to see Ozzy, and Motley Crue was the opening band on the Shout at the Devil tour. I didn't know anything about this kind of music, but I left there obsessed with and decided I was going to be a rock singer. So then 3 months later, I saw Van Halen on the 1984 tour, and then I saw Rat on the Out of the Cellar tour, and Dokken, and for the next several years, I saw all these bands and became obsessed with being in a band. Of course, then I let my hair grow and I became a singer. Someone's like, "Oh, you want to be David Lee Roth? You think you're Vince Neil?"
Yeah,
At least they didn't say I look like Steve Plunkett from Autograph. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll take that. I'll be the David Lee Roth.
I mean, anyone who says that stuff, it was a zeitgeist, just like it is now. It's a sign of the times. Just like when people came up in the '90s, they all wanted to look like a certain look. It doesn't. It's not that you're, kind of copying things. It's just that
Right.
that was the feel at the time,
Right.
and it was actually topical. So anyone who says that, just like most people on the planet now, they should stay in their lane and shut up.
Right. And the thing is, me and Brett obviously are a couple years apart. We're both like, I guess, German background, kind of Midwestish. He's from, Western Pennsylvania. I'm Wisconsin. We got the Leif Garrett balding head with fucking blue eyes, and yeah, we both like Van Halen and on all that kind of rock and roll. But it was weird that I'm now playing around Wisconsin for a couple years and starting to gain a little bit of a name as Steve from Exciter. So then when Poison's on Headbangers Ball with this Cry Tough song, everyone's like, "Hey, there's this guy that looks like you on Headbangers Ball." Of course, it was just the people in Wisconsin that would say that because none of them knew anything about Poison. At that time, Poison was just this local Hollywood band that was playing like maybe Phoenix,
Yeah.
San Diego. So And it wasn't until they really blew up in December, January of that year, 86 into 87, that Poison became a household name. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Talk Dirty to Me goes huge, sells a
Mm.
million or 2 million records.
Mm-hmm.
So then from down and forward, I was you're trying to look like Bret Michaels. I'm like, I don't even know who the guy is. Like, I just heard the song. The song's kick ass. The video's cool. They look like, I thought they were like Van Halen on steroids, is what I
Right.
thought. I was
Yeah,
like,
well,
they're like Van Halen, only younger, you know, because
that's true
Van
though.
Halen at that point was already kind of getting a little older. But yeah,
You know, we're talking about Poison briefly. I had Brian Forsythe from Kicks on, and we talk about how Poison had a lot of similarities to Kicks that they might have taken. And I also will say a friend of both of you guys, Billy McCarthy from Illinois.
Oh yeah,
love Billy. Billy's
Like,
awesome.
great guy.
Yes.
One of my
He has
favorites.
a great book out, and he's the only interview that I've never released. Stevie was nice enough to set me up with him.
I was going to
and
say,
unfortunately, I asked him questions that legally he was not supposed to answer, and about a lawsuit that he had with Poison. I won't get into the details. It's his story, and now it's a private thing. It's been resolved. But the interview, I have to see if we can edit it out, because I was really fascinated, not just his part, but there was other people involved in these suits, and I didn't want him to get in any trouble for it. But
his book is
maybe
awesome.
we'll have to have him back. Yeah.
His book is called Beat Me Till I'm Famous.
Right.
And Billy McCarthy is actually also professionally known as Billy Dior of the DeMauls, or
That's
DeMauls.
right.
And he's the drummer. So the fact that his book title is Beat Me Till I'm Famous, it's kind of a play on words, like beating the drums until I'm famous. And
Bobby Blotson's wife was going to have a book with the same title.
beat me until I'm divorced. But yeah, Billy's book is awesome.
Till you lose your boat.
Yeah.
So Troy Patrick Farrell that has that boat. I don't care what he tells anybody. The Troy Patrick Farrell's hiding that boat.
He's not a big fan of mine.
Mine either.
I like Troy, but I know that everybody, everybody has their groups of friends and not so friends, and
he assaulted Johnny. He assaulted Johnny.
It's only because I can't. It's only because I can't find my 9 scarves.
Well, that's what you get for going on the road with Tantric. Right? Isn't that where it happened? The Tantric tour?
I was asked very nice to perform with the band.
That's what you get for mixing with those 90s bands.
I tried. It was good. It all went south on the second half of the leg of the tour, but I think we were all a little tired of driving.
I'm so fucking hungry right now. Is this almost done?
Yes, we're gonna have to wrap this up. But question, we're going to wrap it up in a minute. Stevie, do you think Sebastian will ever congratulate Skid Row's Eric Gronwall for doing the job justice? Loaded
God. Oh my God.
Honestly, I would love to meet Sebastian again. I would love to run into him. I'm curious as to how he would react. I think he would have a meltdown, but I think he would run away from me, honestly.
Stevie, I got to tell you real quick. I've been around him, and I've known him since he's moved to Las Vegas. He hasn't called me.
You should wear that shirt around him and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll go well. I guess he's unsubscribed already, but I believe that he feels that some of the comments you made about his infidelity in his last marriage cost him his marriage, and I believe that is what.
Did he tell you that personally?
I shouldn't say, but yeah, that might be what I heard.
He said that in an article as well. And here's the thing: I didn't say anything. However, we interviewed some people, some known porn actresses who did, and she also did rate a penis as to who had the biggest penis, and listed, from top to bottom, something like the top 3. Somebody that's in this podcast right now was actually number 1.
Was it you or Jason?
And Sebastian Bach was below that person.
Nice. Well, that might be why he's angry.
Yeah, I think he's mad that my dick's bigger than his. But
wow.
Yeah, he actually said in an interview that Metal Sludge or me cost him his marriage. And I will go back to one of the first questions that you asked me in the beginning of this interview, that was maybe from a fan, did anybody ever confront you? I will say this, there's a very famous, infamous photo or two of me with Janie Lane from the Rainbow.
Mhm.
And that was taken at the end of 2005. Janie Lane was at the Rainbow with Evil Dick,
Mm.
the guy that won Big Brother. Sure,
Mhm.
some of you know who it is. And I saw them sitting at a booth, and I was sitting in a booth at the other end of the Rainbow. So I called Evil Dick's phone, and I saw him looking at his phone, and then he took the call, and he's talking to me. I said, "Hey, dude, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm at the Rainbow." I said, "Oh, really? Who you with?" And he's just like, a couple friends." Long story short, I said, "Turn around." I wave at him. He like hangs up the phone, and now he starts talking to Janie. So I walk up and I sit down at the table. I walk up, and Janie and Eve Dick are sitting there, and Janie looks at me. He's like, "Have a seat, Stevie, right here." So I sit down, and him and me had a couple laughs. And then at some point, he got very serious, and he said, "I don't like you talking about my ex-wife in your articles." He was referring to Bobby Brown. And then at some
That's the
point, he
guy from
said,
New Edition, right? The My Prerogative, that guy.
he's talking about Bobby and the fact that I had some private moments with her. Then he
Mm.
said, your site cost me my marriage.
No.
And I said, time out right there. Because he started getting upset with me. He said, your site cost me my marriage. I said, no, 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 no. You cost yourself your marriage. I said, I didn't create your divorce. I go, do you think your wife divorced you because you were on Metal Sludge? Or do you think she divorced you because she found out that you were screwing around with this person or that person or this groupie or that groupie? And that's basically what happened with Sebastian. We interviewed somebody. I'll tell you who it was. Kendra Jade, the porn star Kendra Jade, who had been on the Howard Stern show. We did multiple interviews with her, and she talked about being with Sebastian. And at some point, I guess Maria, Sebastian's at the time wife, had read that. And then, of course, she was fairly famous at that point, especially with her exposure on the Stern show. And so that's where it's rooted from. But I didn't make Sebastian screw around with Kendra Jade one night. The fact that she went and did the kiss and tell thing via my website, he then wants to make it like it's my fault. But I didn't create that. And if you're watching this, eat a dick, bro. You
It's
caused your own divorce.
It's
So
2 hours and 37 minutes. So I don't think he'll make it this far, but somebody may make it a headline. I would love to see Sebastian Bach perform with Skid Row. I do not think it will happen. Those guys, they're showing you that they are really not interested. If they change singers that many times, they have tried to work it out. I know the
right.
stories. Everyone's tried to be in the middle. I know Eddie Trunk has tried. Who knows for now? Scotty Hill and I spoke today, and he's going to be on here, and I'm sure he's not going to tell you anything different. Rob
Right.
Lafusto is coming on. He might tell you something different because he's sort of in the middle of those two worlds. But sometimes what's best for the fan isn't always best for the band. And so
What's good for the goose is not always good for the gander.
yeah.
I'm still impressed that Bobby Brown goes to the Rainbow.
I don't get it. The
The
guy
Black
from the
Cloud?
audition? Or
Did you say Bobby Brown went to the Rainbow?
no, we said Janie Lane went to the Rainbow.
No,
And
Jane, and he said to me that he didn't want me talking about his ex-wife,
Oh.
not the guy from New Edition.
You know what? That's when I first met Billy Morris. We played with Warrant in 2000 at the real Glam Slam Metal Jam, the original one, with Warrant and Quiet Riot and Poison. And that's when I met Billy Morris.
And Rat? Was it Rat too?
I don't remember that. No, I don't think so.
Is this the Irvine thing, or what? Where was this?
This was in 2000, and it was the Glam Slam Metal Jam, and Billy Morris was playing in Warrant, and Quiet Riot was there, and Toto and the dog. And
Was it the Glam Slam Metal Jam, or was it the Rock Never Stops?
No, Glam Slam Metal Jam.
Okay.
And that's when That's when I believe that's when I first met those guys, and it was awesome.
I saw Billy Morris open for Fake Rat in Ohio, and Bobby Blotzer was known for saying to cut all the bands off. If they go 30 seconds over, fuck them. He tried to get me to turn Warren off before Cherry Pie. Warren shouldn't have been even opening for this clown. And he let Billy slide, but he was telling me, got to get these guys out of here. He liked to show his dominance. He also liked to show a very small penis. He would walk around naked backstage often, where he earned the nickname the White Tootsie Roll. One time, he asked me that he was mad that the towels on the rider weren't big enough. He held up these towels, and he asked me, he was naked, what do I do with these towels? And I told him, maybe use two. And he then came at me with a shoe. He came at me with a shoe, naked. Can you imagine, if you're watching at home, a naked Bobby Blotzer coming at you with a shoe?
Love it.
Yeah, it's... here's a question, and then we got to get out of here. What happened to Mike the Sack Fasano? He used to be on the Sludge board back.
Oh, yeah.
This guy, Mike Fasano, everyone knew him. He was in Warren for a little while.
Yeah.
He was
the drummer at the time.
He had a very elastic scrotum, and he could take his a Coke can. Stop me if I'm wrong. And he could wrap his ball sack around the Coke can, and that's why he got the nickname Sack.
So the Coke can would disappear into his ball bag.
I saw it.
I love Mike the Sack Fasano. I don't know why he hasn't been on Sludge board for a while, but that don't change the fact that we're still buddies. As a matter of fact, it's been maybe a couple years, but we'll every once in a while we'll send a text or a message or something. But he's an awesome guy.
Yeah, he's great. He's very nice. That's when
awesome
I met him
guy.
too on the same tour. That's when I first met him.
Love him. He's awesome.
Yeah, good drummer.
I feel like he drum tech for a lot of big acts. I feel like that's what
Tiger Army, like Green Day.
Tiger Army. Yeah.
Vito Bratta.
Vito
Bratta sharing $3. Sorry.
What is the drummer's name from Green Day? Is it Trey Cool?
Trey Cool.
Yeah, I think he was Trey Cool's drum tech for a long time.
Guys, we talked for 2 hours and 41 minutes. There are 200 people still present and enjoying this. Millions more are going to watch it in the replay.
They're probably going to start talking about. They're going to dissect everything we said.
Well, if they do and they enjoyed it, they should go get Tuff the Glam Years 1965 to 1980. No, just kidding. 1985 to 1989. And
yeah, while you're plugging, there's going to be that's coming out on vinyl next year. It's already done. It's already been mastered. The artwork's done. The Glam Years is going to be on colored vinyl in 2023. The package looks great. It sounds great. It's the Glam Years, 1985 to 1989. And of course, the full catalog is available at the store at Sludge, toughcds.com. You can find me on eBay, Amazon. You can message me direct. Tons of swag, tons of stuff. And next year is officially the 25th year of Sludge. So there's some things that are going to happen. And Tuff's still going to be playing. Stevie Rachelle still going to be playing. Maybe
with or without his nose.
Yeah. I'm in a good mood. My kids are good. Our daughter's a freshman at Berkeley. She's kicking ass. Our son is a senior in high school. He's got a job. He's working. He's buff. Girls are hitting on him. He's kicking ass.
Sounds like my week.
And dad's getting older, but hey, I'll turn 57 in March, and I'm thankful to still be here.
Stevie, absolutely. And the more we live, the more we're reminded of it. I gotta say, before we get out of here, Johnny and I have been playing that game, F, marry, disregard, or whatever. You know, I don't like to say kill. It's such a permanent thing.
Happens.
But anyway,
marry, destroy.
So yeah, that's a little less permanent. So anyway, let's just take a look and see. I don't pre-screen these. There is a website that has this, and let's just see if there's anyone here that we're interested in. All right, here we go. We're going to start the game.
We're all answering, or just me?
No, we can all do this together.
Okay.
Just like Josie Pearl. So this is now you might not know all these women. I do know.
I was going to say I don't. I only go by the photo. I go by
Okay.
photo and age. Everything else is irrelevant.
Okay, so this is Olivia Munn, Olivia Wilde, and Amelia Clark. Now, I know that Amelia Clark is the girl on Game of Thrones.
Who has the
She
most
is.
money? Because that's the one I want to marry. Whoever has the most
I like
cash.
the way you think. I'm going to say it's her. She's the Khaleesi.
Okay, I'll marry her.
I'm with you. I would marry her, and I would bang Olivia Munn. She's very, very hot.
Mm.
Yeah. So I'll marry and bang those two, and the one on the right, push her off a cliff immediately.
No, she's the
Okay.
one you're marrying.
Oh, I am?
But she usually looks much better. And if you Google her topless, you'll see. I mean, I think she. If anyone watching at home can help us, and people in the audience are now giving us their choices. We're not going to do this all day, but let's just take a look at another one. Hold on.
Whoever's
Maybe
over 40, push her off. I don't go with the old ladies.
John, Stevie, people got so mad last week when I said somebody was older. They were born in 1986, allegedly, and I said that was too old. I don't remember saying it, but the hate mail that Johnny got, I don't read mail, but Johnny got a ton of angry messages. Okay, this is an interesting.
I always date girls that are at least 18, but 20 is the cutoff. Just being
Well,
honest.
I think that's not a bad way to think. Okay, I don't know who Gina Rodriguez is, but Rashida Jones in the middle, that's Quincy Jones' daughter. Maybe Nastasia Kinski is her mother. I don't know.
Rashida Jones. So is her dad's black? She don't look black.
She's mixed
I don't know.
race. Yeah, she was on The Office. She's mixed race. I think she's pretty hot. And then Kat Dennings is on that Two Broke Horror show. Two Broke Chicks, whatever it's called. She thinks she's funny. She might be.
Too white. And you know what? My eyes are so bad. I'd say I saw something with a K, 3 letters, and I saw DUM. So I immediately thought cum dumpster. But I know that's really bad to say that.
Well, Johnny's going to get a lot of mail. Gina Rodriguez, I'm trying to look her up. Oh, she's on a show called Jane the Virgin. She was born in 1984.
I like Mexican chicks. I'll take her.
Yeah, Rashida, Johnny, you haven't picked on these three. What do you think, Johnny?
I would. Let's see. I would bang the one in the front. I mean,
On the front, you mean on the left?
yeah.
Or you mean the vagina?
Gina Rodriguez.
Okay.
Rashida Jones. I don't know that I would be able to deal with. And
her father composed the Sanford and Son theme and Thriller.
I was going to say he produced Thriller, so he's probably got good royalties, which she'll inherit. I'll marry her.
Just not sure about that Thanksgiving. And I'll go with Kat Dennings.
It's like Sidney Poitier comes over. Yeah, the Thanksgiving could be awkward. I would marry Rashida Jones because she's got all the money, and Kat Dennings is hot for me at least. So I hope we're not offending anybody with our.
You are.
Our language. Let's do one more, and then let's get out of here. See, I don't know a lot of these people either.
Hey, your podcast works. I just made a sale for a Tales from the Porn CD. So my promotional angle here
there you go.
Brought me money, Jason. I want to stay
looking.
on the rest of the night. Let's keep going.
Things are looking up.
I would like to. I like that. I would like to do it at like a telethon. We're going to stay on until we sell a certain amount, until Johnny can sell his desk.
Now, didn't the telethon guy finally die? And everyone said
that's what would happen. We all die.
He was dead like a long time. Jerry Lee Lewis, right? He's like 90 or something.
Just Jerry Lewis. Jerry Lewis fucked his 13-year-old cousin. That's different.
Right. Still died.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody in the audience should come up with a better one of these things. But
I have a confession to make.
Uh-oh.
That's going to be good.
This is politically not correct, and in the world of cancel culture, I understand that I'm putting myself at risk. Okay. But when we just thought about it, you said a telethon. Jerry Lewis was the guy that would beg you to give money for the kids, right?
Yes.
When I was 13, 12, 13, 14, I was addicted to Miss Pac-Man,
Hmm.
right? And I would go to Aladdin's castle at the mall with quarters and
I
play it
love
all
it.
day.
Love it.
When I didn't have enough money, I would go door to door with a can.
Mhm.
This is guitar picks. I would go with a can and I would write muscular dystrophy on it. And I would go knock on the door and tell the lady I was collecting for the telethon. And I can't tell you how many times I went, "Are you sure?" "Yes, I am." And they'd put the money in it and I'd walk all the way to the mall. And then I'd take all the money and spend it on Miss Pac-Man.
Have you ever thought? Johnny's disgusted. Have you ever thought about giving back? Have you ever thought about making a donation, Stevie?
I have donated and I have given back and I have put money in those little red things at Christmas when the ladies ringing the bell at Walmart. But I did that as a younger man, probably 1979, and there is some shame that has overcome me right now. But I just thought with Professor Monaco and
No. I'm
Re-
thinking of now
Rev-
that you gave me
Rev-
that idea. I'm
Reverend
thinking of doing it in the
Reverend
building.
Green, Reverend Green. I'm being honest, and I want to be washed of my sins.
Now,
I ask you
now
guys,
Johnny's going to go do it for dinner. What are you talking
I'm,
about?
I'm actually thinking it might be. I am on the 11th floor, so I think that it might be a good idea. Might maybe
Will
able to
you
work an
guys-
angle.
will you guys forgive me for I have sinned?
Brian thinks that this might be Blabbermouth's headline.
Listen, Panda Express doesn't pay for itself.
A lot of people like to see a Metal Sludge podcast, but until that happens, I think you should come in for a checkup every now and then, Stevie. We do this.
How
more
many
often.
people were you at?
They're at 172 right now.
Wow, we fell off.
This
See,
is
when
2
I said to you
hours.
about, I said I fooled around with a tranny, and the fucking numbers just went through the roof.
Yeah, it
Well,
had nothing to do with the other part about
Yes.
imitating someone who had muscular dystrophy.
I didn't say I had it. I said I was collecting for the kids.
Stevie, the tranny story,
I would act like I had it.
we were a little alarmed by the tranny story, but did you not realize it was a tranny, or did you? I put my glasses on to hear the story.
Did I knowingly get involved with a transsexual?
Mhm.
What do they say in court when you plead the fifth? Does that mean you don't want to answer?
Yeah, you just plead the fifth. Yeah, you have that right to not.
Let's just say there was a situation where I went to see an advertisement to be with a person that I thought was a female, and we were going to have an adult relationship for a period of time
Oh God.
for an exchange of money.
Mhm. I respect your honesty.
Johnny is not sure he can handle this.
Johnny would never give the money. They would never.
And
This would never happen.
No, I was on the edge. So yes, I got into the situation, and then I realized as we got a little closer that it was not what I had initially thought.
It happens. Did he end up singing "Fly High, Michelle" to you?
How many years ago? How many years ago is this?
Last Friday.
On my way to Ralph's. It was a dark night.
Well,
Yeah, let's just say, what do they say? You live in LA long enough that at some point there has to be a little experimentation. It's like,
Who hasn't?
Hey. What can I say?
I respect, but well, hold on. First of all, I'm not trying to.
I was going to say, if you're going to start asking for angles and who got on top and all that, I'm not going that far. What is that?
Well, that's the artist formerly known as Bruce Jenner, currently conservative Caitlyn.
She's beautiful.
It was not Olympian Bruce Jenner, right?
That lives in my building.
That is not an appropriate term.
I was going to say that, Johnny.
Yeah.
You should be washed of sins now for what you just said.
I can do what I want. It's their choice.
Well, there is a choice, but so Stevie, so what happens? Do you meet this young lady? Where did you guys meet?
I told you we're
Green
not.
door.
Just
The
wait.
Hollywood Best Western, Hollywood and Island.
Hold it. Did you just say where did you meet?
Well, me.
How are you spelling meat?
MEAT.
Well, yeah. Well,
How you doing?
now people are guessing who it is. I don't think that's possible. But so you guys had a rendezvous
So
somewhere?
I knock on the door, and they answer and goes, "Come on in." It's just
Hello. Hello.
Come on in.
come on in.
I don't know. I don't know if this is correct, but any chance it was Marcy Free?
No. Don't wanna wait till you know me better.
So,
Hit the A chord, Johnny.
Stevie, don't beat around the bush. So what happens? You go in, you think you're meeting a lady, and when do you realize that maybe this lady's not a lady?
Wait a minute. What am I looking at there? That was the same person?
I will be a little. I'll give you a little detail. So we go in. We're in a hotel room. I show up, and the person answers the door, looking like a girl, and then the top end is disrobed, and I thought, okay, that's so far so good. So I start getting unrobed, and then at some point we're kind of getting a little closer, and then I realize the panties are still on, so I'm thinking, let's take them off.
Mm-hmm.
And upon partial removal, shit went south.
Oh, jeez. You know, the same thing happened to me at, but then she eventually took my Amazon return at Kohl's.
So it was a number of many years ago. There was a situation, and at some point I said to myself, okay, maybe I'll just receive, maybe I'll just kick back. But at some point, as horny as horny,
and just not. Oh, jeez.
Oh, this is funny.
And just not mention it at Thanksgiving.
So at some point, it was my brain, and I think my wiener was going, bro, abort, pull the chute, jump out, time out, penalty. You know.
Did you take the Hummer or did you leave?
No, I called it a day.
You know what the first thought through my mind would have been, no one's gonna know.
Yeah, but again, I said I started to lay back and say, let me just receive and just let my mind go to a different place. Let me think of cherry pie. Let me think of cherry pie or something, just to try to get my mind in a different spot. But I think my dick was going,
oh boy,
bro, cut it, stop. I don't know. Maybe the whiskers bumping against my dick felt weird.
I don't know if it was. I think it was on the other end that was saying stop.
This picture is from that night we're looking at on the screen here. For those of you who stuck around 3 hours and thought we couldn't get any more ridiculous, we did find a way. Stevie, one of the things I like about you, besides your red towel, is that your honesty.
Right.
I feel like if you're going to bust people's balls, you got to be, or whatever else you're into, you've got to be able to take it a little bit. And you are the first one. I've read your Tuff diaries. They're on Metal Sludge, and you don't hold back. You tell stories, even if it's someone might feel it's a little crazy. You definitely don't just you can dish it out and you can take it. And so anyway, and I recommend people read those, because there's some pretty wild stuff. I hope the kids went to sleep already, Steve. I hope they don't watch all 3 hours of this.
Well, the kids are not little kids anymore. Our daughter's an adult in college, and our son is, there's
even worse.
Yeah.
Yes, they already know.
There's nothing that could be revealed that my children or their mother wouldn't. They would all probably just roll their eyes.
Oh boy.
Like, Dad's a wacko. So, but no, and trust me, Jason, I've thought of that for many years, that because I'm the guy that I didn't cause Sebastian Bach to get a divorce
We're
Janie
still
Lane,
talking about that.
or Janie Lane. But when somebody does something stupid, like many of those guys have, rest in peace to Janie. We had long resolved any of our issues. He was very friendly to me. After the fact, we got along. But Metal Sludge has absolutely shined the spotlight and brought to the forefront some guys' defaults or errors or misguided decisions or bad choices. And I understand that. So I also know that at some point, if I was to ever get a DUI, God forbid, which I don't drink anyways, or do drugs or drive that way, um,
Me neither.
I understand that I'm going to be the first one that people are going to go, guess who fucked up, whatever that might be. If I do something bad that looks bad, if I got arrested for, stalking kids or something, which I don't do that anymore. I stopped, But you get what I'm saying is that I understand that my neck would be obviously choice for the chopping if I did something.
Come in spoons.
Yeah, which I don't come in spoons. I usually try to do it in their mouth or
Well, you're
Okay.
politically correct and a gentleman.
Oh, jeez.
some other opening.
You can't get pregnant in the face or the hair. So
Guys can't get pregnant. What? I mean,
a lot of people bring up Dudley. There was an episode of the Halloween show where we talked about Dudley from Different Strokes and how he was almost accosted by Gordon Jump on a very special episode of Different Strokes. And thankfully, Mr. Drummond.
oh boy.
But anyway,
He's
people
a
are still
perv.
the things we say on the show that people are still talking about are ridiculous. But anyway, let's recap because we are over the 3-hour mark now.
Oh,
wow, unbelievable.
Stevie
Guys are crazy.
almost received fellatio from a fella, but that's not the top story.
Unbelievable.
Although if you go to Sleaze Rocks or one of those other sites, that could be the story of the day. Anyway, Tuff, you're going to see Tuff is playing. Tuff is playing Kenny Ozfest. They're going to be
in Ohio.
Kenny Ozfest. You say Kenny quiet. You say Ozfest big. Makes it sound exciting. In Ohio, that's coming up in December. Get your tickets now. Perfect holiday gift. Come and see Tuff. Listen, they don't play all the time too. So if you're a fan, this is a good chance to see
Right.
Tuff. And you can go to the truck and have some food with the boys. I'm sure they're going to have the Johnny Monaco mashed potatoes or
Hilarious.
whatever. You
Giving
bring your
that
own
guy a nacho dish. What's
bring
wrong
your own
with you?
bring your own desk.
If anything,
and
you should
then
have gave him a Polish sausage.
he's on his way to Australia as well next year in January. All these dates are on Stevie's website. They're also on Metal Sludge,
Yeah.
toughcds.com, metalsludge.com, of course. And so you can see these things. I showed you my copy of the What Comes Around Goes Around record on vinyl with the gatefold. And not that there's anything wrong with that. And you can get that.
Oh no.
Tough to Glam Years as well. Go check it out. Show Stevie that you support the channel and go buy some of his stuff so that he'll come back and do this again. We'll have a good time. This was just kind of a spur of the moment thing, but I think we all had a good time.
Sperm of the moment.
Sperm of the moment. And I hope that everybody enjoyed this. I'll be back on Friday with Paul Taylor from Winger. He's and he's also involved with Mick Mars. I don't know if they're involved, but he's on his album. And then all kinds of other shit, lots of new interviews. Make sure you subscribe. Johnny Monaco also, he has his album. She said she found her soulmate. Probably going to come out sometime this decade. And he's working on it right now. It sounds great. And you can visit his social media, pick up his music, listen to it. Catch Stephen Pearcy on the road. And I'm saying this, it's not completely exclusive, with Vince Neil, the voice of Motley Crue and the voice of Rat. We'll be playing shows together. There's only one that's announced in Palm Springs. Stevie, you should come out to Palm Springs. Maybe it'd be fun.
I if I'm not mistaken, I saw it was January 28th, correct?
You know more than I do.
Well, I will be in Sydney, Australia that night playing.
All right.
Chips Enough and Wednesday 13 and Tammy Down, Steve Sex Summers, and
Look at him name dropping. See that, Johnny? Anyway, but anyway, all those things coming up. We had a great time. Make sure you again subscribe and support everybody. Stevie, I hope you come back and we'll do this on a more regular basis.
I'd love to, and thank you, Jason. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you to all the fans listening. I hope everyone had a good time. Now go to toughcds.com, go to the store, or go on my eBay and buy some stuff, because if not, I might be homeless and I won't be able to do another one of these podcasts with Jason.
That's not true.
And also, as Jason would say, caress the like button, punch, kick. What did you say? Smash it. Smash the subscribe button.
Oh, you
And
millennials.
make sure you support Stevie stuff. Transgender prostitutes don't pay for themselves. And
Unbelievable.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, I could have a mannequin in the house that I just bang once in a while, but
well, now you get it personal.
I don't have any extra money for a mannequin.
Yeah, now you're getting personal. We better get out of here. You can get one of these handsome shirts as well. Don't tell Sebastian Bach. All right, guys.
I gotta send Johnny a shirt too. He's pissed at me. I still haven't given him a shirt.
He definitely needs one. We'll see everybody again.